Hello everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It's me, Captain Logan. And there goes DJ, he's just gone. He just punked me. Did you see that? He's like, nah, I'm done with this whole thing. We are off to quite a start already.
Heyo!
DJ, how's it going, man?
Wow, we're doing a show, and Skype decided to just boot me right out the gate. What in the world?
I was gonna say, that's not the way to make an entrance.
Yeah,
it's really awkward. You were there, and then you weren't, and then you were again. For the record, that's not an entrance.
I like to make an entrance by making an exit.
And then coming back a few seconds later.
Just a psych.
I see, so the day ghost school of thought.
Yeah. I'm just becoming more and more like Austin, because if there's two of us, then we can definitely tank the channel.
And if everyone is Austin, then nobody is. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks a lot for being here on the obligatory Tuesday stream. We have no plan tonight. We're going to do a regular Ask Me Anything show. I'm going to take your questions through the whole show, so you guys are in charge, sort of, within reason. You guys can ask anything you want to throughout the whole show and direct the conversation. I looked at news and things this morning, didn't find anything. I was really excited to make the lead-in topic. If anybody brings up the new John Wick trailer, I'll talk about that real briefly. I don't have a lot to say. I was supposed to do that on the last show, DJ, and we got so caught up in the movie theater debate that I completely forgot about it, and nobody ever brought it up, so it didn't end up happening. But if you go back to that video, it's in the description, but you won't find it within that 2 hours anywhere.
We should just start doing that. Just start putting things that we never get to in the stream, but it keeps people watching the entire stream so they can hunt for it.
Oh, man. You are constantly trying to direct me in a more gimmicky way. I'm noticing. You're like, here's all these stupid things other YouTube channels do. We should do those things and, like, make fun of them and act like we're above it, but actually still embrace it and totally do it because it works.
You're like, scavenger hunt. The scavenger hunt effect.
Here's these thumbnails with arrows all over them, and here's clickbaity titles, and here's what you should do, Cap. Write in the title that you're going to show off your dog, and then never bring your dog.
Yeah, I just do that. I just do the arrows because it makes me laugh. But, there are probably people that think I'm doing it sincerely, which makes me laugh even more.
No, it's even better. Again, the day goes to school of thought. Folks, it's really great of you to be here just to hang out this evening. Like I said, we're going to let you direct the conversation. Real quick, I'll do a little bit in the way of announcements. Tomorrow night, Austin and I are going to be doing a request on the classic film Patriot Games, which I've never seen, but we'll be watching tonight. That was requested by Brightburns, and we're finally getting to that, so that's tomorrow. Thursday, DJ and I will be doing a regular Captain Logan show if everything goes according to plan, but at DJ's house. I'm going to be flying out to Georgia Thursday afternoon. I should probably get my days figured out and not show up to the airport a day early. I'll be like... I'll be like the guy in
the terminal. You could just live in the airport.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the real life person that Tom Hanks' character is based on in that just died like yesterday or the day before.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy about it? He died in that terminal.
He still lives there?
No, he was there for like 18 years, and then years ago he finally left, but apparently recently he went back. And was living there again for some indeterminate number of days. I don't know how long he'd been there. And he had a heart attack and he died in the Paris airport. Or whatever. No, was it Paris? I can't remember. Whatever airport that was. Isn't that crazy?
Well, that's fitting.
Yeah.
It's kind of beautiful. It's poetry.
I guess it is. Anyway, no, it's wild. So I'm going to be doing some streams from DJ's place, and the only thing I know for sure we're doing is that show, and then sometime over the weekend, probably Friday night, but we're playing things by ear, so I'll announce it when we get closer, but we're going to be doing a special superhero rewind. It'll be the first time I've had a guest on that show in eons, and we're going to be counting down my and DJ's top 10 favorite superhero movie scores of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And DJ's responding as if he's just now finding out about this. Ooh, that sounds like fun. No, you're going to have to be prepared for that, DJ.
It's like the kid who just realized that the homework was assigned and did not do it. No, I'm mostly prepared. I'm pretty sure what I'm gonna say. So it's gonna be fun.
I've got my list mostly worked out. I don't know if I know what I'm going to say, but I've got the movies in order. I don't even know if they're totally in order yet. Anyway,
It's tough. It's really tough.
I'm gonna work on that more tomorrow and the next day. But I'm really looking forward to.
You
talking
can do it
about
on the plane.
It's true. I could work on that some on the plane, and then, like I said, we'll probably do at least 1 or 2 other streams while I'm there, if not more. Last time I was at DJ's place, all he wanted to do was shoot videos. So I assume he's not. It'll be the same thing where he's not gonna let me actually have a vacation, and I'm just gonna have to work the entire time.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and it's so much more fun to do videos in person instead of over the dreaded Skype, as we just learned.
Yeah, it is. Although it's really weird when you're with somebody in person and they blip out for a second. They're just, like Thanos. They're just gone.
Yeah, I do have a tendency to do that on people.
Like, that wasn't even Skype. That was just DJ. He's just gone. It was like Shatner doing Rocket Man, and he's gone. Anyway, if you would like to make sure that your question, comment, concern, complaint is discussed on air tonight, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount. We've already gotten a couple of those, and we'll guarantee that we talk about your interest. And if not, you can leave a regular comment, and we'll get to, I bet, more of those tonight than normal. So we'll make sure to do at least a few of those, and make sure to direct those at DJ Martinez, because he is the chat moderator. And I don't know how to read anymore, because we've done 241 of these shows, and I don't have to read anymore, so I just don't remember how to do that.
My plan is coming to a head. First, make him illiterate, and then the universe.
For Osborne, first make him illiterate. We attack the intellect.
First, we attack his literacy.
Tag at DJ Martinez, at The Welder, or at Best Green Goblin Impression Ever. DJ will respond to all of those things.
I'll respond to anything, yeah.
And more. DJ,
like
let's go ahead and get into it. What do folks want to chat about tonight?
All right, well, I will hop in real quick. I hate to do this, but can you flip my camera back on? It got disabled when Skype popped out.
It can't be done.
Okay, well, I'll just talk into the ether. There we go. No, sorry.
I'm back in my tiny box.
There he is, and I can see you when I'm talking to you. It's so odd just talking at my microphone and not seeing what I'm talking to. So
see, the difference between me and you is you'll blip out, but not even be there anymore. I'll do that, but I'm a disembodied voice.
Yes. Which is what I listened to for years in college, was just your disembodied voice.
Really?
Because
you couldn't stand my face, right? So you didn't even look at that on the camera.
No, Superhero Rewind didn't have your face for the longest time.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, I did other things besides Rewind.
I know. I was into Rewind and GNN the podcast first. That's how I found you guys.
Oh, sure. That's a lot of what we were doing back then, yeah. Yeah, weirdly, we did more stuff off camera than on camera back then.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I gotta mention something real quick. Sorry, we will totally start getting into questions here in a minute. But it's a typical Tuesday. We have no plan, and the preamble is 12 minutes long. So Jason and I are starting a new show, but not on the channel, because it can't be done here on YouTube. And a quick plug for the 5 people that will care about this. I don't know when it's going to start. We recorded the first episode today, and I probably won't be able to get it out and get the whole thing set up until next week sometime. So I will put out a message to everybody and possibly even do a video on it when it happens. But Jason and I are going to be doing a radio show-esque podcast with a playlist of songs. Twice a month is the plan right now on They Might Be Giants. So Jason and I are still doing Father and Son on the channel, and we were doing that every week, but he pitched the show, and I was too excited about it. It sounded like a lot of fun. So he and I are going to bounce back and forth between Father and Son and this They Might Be Giants show. So we're going to be broadcasting as often as we had planned on anyway, or at least we're going to be posting something as often as we'd planned on. DJ, this is going to be the only thing I'm not doing live. And it was really kind of surreal going back and pre-recording a thing and not having a live audience, because it's been months since I've done anything like that.
Yeah, that's got to be a little weird.
It was, yeah. Well, and we had one false start, because you know me, it's like anything goes wrong at the beginning, and I want to start over, and I was like, oh man, I'm doing that again. We don't have an audience. I can stop.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I shot a video with my wife today, and I was like, oh, we got to start over. I messed up.
We
I got to get out of that headspace. It's so bad for me.
Yeah, I've kind of resigned myself to it's not possible, and that's part of why that's part of why I'm shooting live a lot here all the time now.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I'm excited to finally do something for your channel while I'm there because I haven't got to do that yet, and I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know if you have any ideas yet, but
I do have one idea that I think would be fun. That'll be a field trip. It won't be here. I want to take you. I want to take you somewhere.
That sounds like fun.
Like a shopping, like one of those videos you were just talking about with Cool Duder.
Into Target we go.
Yes, but it would be into Barnes and Noble we go.
Oh, cool. Are we gonna get thrown out though? Are we gonna bring a camera in there and then get tossed out?
No, I just use my phone inside. I still don't feel comfortable bringing my camera inside. I still feel.
But
weird
I'm afraid even with a phone, I'll be the one person in America that gets tossed out of a store because I'm walking around with my phone and recording.
I mean, I did it 2 days ago with a friend, and I did it today with my wife, and we were good. Barnes & Noble was pretty empty, which is sad, but it's true.
but it helps.
But no, November is the Criterion 50% off sale at Barnes & Noble, and I would love to get your first impressions of that sale and just get your reaction to it, and maybe even persuade you to buy your first Criterion. Maybe not, but I think there'd be some stuff you
see. I don't think you're gonna have to persuade me that much. The problem is I'm gonna walk in there and be like, I don't want to spend any money.
I know you don't want to spend too much, but maybe just one. I think that'd be fun just to catch your. Because whenever we have the sale in November and July, all my subscribers have been asking for more Criterion stuff, so I think it'd be cool to get your first impressions. But who knows?
Absolutely.
We'll
see. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it's your channel, and you got to steer it whichever direction you're wanting it to go, and whichever way it's going. Because I have not been on the Criterion bandwagon, mostly because this collection is stupid and ridiculous.
No, you gotta pick your battles when you're collecting that much stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And like that's all right. Just movie wise, it's 300 something strong, and I'm behind still. And like I can't commit to anything else movie wise of things I have to buy.
Yeah. I'm not trying to get you addicted or anything. I just wanted to get your reactions. But we could also do a top 10 or something while you're here. We'll think of something.
Sure. Yeah. But no, I'm excited. We're probably gonna do at least one commentary. We kicked that around, and we might.
Yes, we do have to do that. That's for sure.
We may do some sort of he maybe watch kind of thing,
mm-hmm.
Or at least show each other movies even if we don't actually talk about them on camera.
Yeah, not everything we have to do has to be for YouTube. We can't have our personal lives, maybe.
Yeah, it's not possible. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to questions. What do folks want to talk about?
All right, Michael McAllister.
Hi.
Gave us $4.99 because he wants to talk about, is a new Back to the Future movie something that could work? Would you like to see it attempted? Be it Back to the Future 4 or a reboot?
I think a new anything is possible. Like it's possible to make another Back to the Future that could be cool. Is it likely? No. Would I be really, really leery of it? Of course, and I think most people would. It's a thing that Zemeckis has always said is never going to happen until he's died. Like, those guys have held that really close to the vest, and they're like, we don't want to see it rebooted. We don't want to see anybody attempt to make a fourth one. I worry about the biggest thing with Back to the Future is that it's too quotable. This was the pitfall that the IDW comics fell into, and I enjoyed some of those, but the big problem with it was every other panel were quoting something and leaning on nostalgia, and it's like, yeah, I've seen Back to the Future, just tell some more stories in this universe. Like, I don't need every scene from those movies, and all three of them, like, I don't need every scene from those movies to be quoted somewhere in this thing. Like, yeah, I know, I hate manure, fine, like, can we move on? Is it possible? Like, and once it got several issues into the actual monthly, because the miniseries had that problem in spades, and we did an arc that was actually set further than 2015 into the future, and there was some fun stuff there, but even still, we can't stop repeating ourselves. But also part of the problem is the formula of Back to the Future, where with the sequels, it's kind of about history repeating itself in a real cartoony, tongue-in-cheek way, which was fun with those sequels, but both 2 and 3 constantly have scenes that are like redoing or calling back to scenes from the first movie, and then 3 starts doing with stuff in 2 that wasn't even in the first movie, like the Lone Gunman, the Wild Gunman video game, where like that's not in the first movie, but it's in 2. So then 3 has to do a thing with that, and all the continuity and the setup and payoff and stuff with all that was a lot of fun, but the sequels themselves couldn't get away from that, and so I've always been really leery of doing any more of it in any kind of way. If the problem with doing a reboot is you're likely to see a movie that just, like Ghostbusters 2016 or, any number of these kinds of decades later starting over movies. It's the same thing, but not as good, where it's got to be, I hate directors throwing the word origin around. It's like, you don't need an origin for Back to the Future. It's what it is in the first place. Like, the guy gets a time machine. Don't spend, 2/3 of the movie getting to where the first movie got to in the first 10 minutes, like Ghostbusters did, and that would be my worry with it. Which thing, and again, you can make anything work. Your heart would have to be in the right place, and the point of it would have to be to update and do a somewhat different kind of story. So please don't make it 80s period piece, because it was already done in the 80s, and going back to it, it's not dated. It almost feels like a period piece to me, and that's one of the things I like about it. So you'd want to modernize it, but I wouldn't want it to be now and also all 80s throwback at the same time. Like, I don't know how to do that correctly, but everything I'm imagining would happen with it would not be done correctly, whatever that looks like. And then the problem with doing a sequel is the worry would be it's soft reboot, and we're basically telling the exact same story again, but now with a new character. And DJ, you'd probably fall into like all the regular tropes, all the usual suspects, right? Where it'd be like Marty's kid finding a DeLorean that he didn't know that Marty had, and Marty, took the pieces that got ran over by the train at the end of 3, and he, pieced them all back together,
Yeah, and during all of this, he's doing a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe at least his name wouldn't be Podcast. Like the kid in Ghostbusters Afterlife. No, I'm having a hard time pitching to you what a good Back to the Future sequel.
Yeah, I think you're talking yourself out of it right now.
would look like. But the problem is, besides how hard it would be not to just repeat yourself, and more with Back to the Future than anything else, the car is too iconic. How do you do it without the car? But I wouldn't want that again necessarily. Because again, if you do it as a period piece, it's just the same thing. Like, what would be the point of going back to 85 and it being the DeLorean? But then, if it's a full-on reboot and it's a DeLorean now, that's preposterous. It's like, okay, there's only 2,000 of these cars in existence or less, and somebody found one and made it into a time machine. Yeah, I don't know. I think we can leave that alone.
Yeah, you'd be worried that they would endgame it and just go back in time to all of the different fun parts in the trilogy.
Well, and that would be a disaster because you have to recast everything.
Yeah. I don't know. It could be done, but we are not the ones to do it, clearly.
Okay, I don't have a story pitch, but I know what medium it should be in. And this is probably not what anybody thinks they want, but I think this is probably the only way to do it. And you also would still have to recast actors at this point, obviously. You do it in animation. You do a full-on Back to the Future 4, but it's 2D animation.
Yeah, so Connor said, this kind of goes along with what you said because they do a lot of animation. Connor said, the only way another Back to the Future could work for me is if Lord and Miller did it and it was about our culture's inability to move beyond 80s nostalgia.
Yeah, and that's not a terrible idea, but then I'm also worried, Connor, that we've set a precedent now where the only way nostalgic throwback movies can work is if they're meta about it and they're commenting on how we do this all the time. Matrix got to that already, and a lot of people didn't like that, but I thought it worked pretty well. But I went, this is clever, this is creative, nothing else gets to do this. Like, we need to move on from these. It's making a really great case for why we shouldn't keep making these things. And it was Wachowski saying, okay, they're going to make a Matrix movie with me or without me. So I'm going to make a movie about why we shouldn't do this. And that's what I liked about it. I had so much respect for her for doing it like that. And I don't need another franchise to come back and do that, because it'll seem obligatory. We'll keep doing it. It will look like creators going, okay, I guess we're stuck here. If we want to make a movie, this is what we have to make, because this is what the studio is greenlighting. And so we've got to be too cool for school and be like, this shouldn't exist, but we're being forced to make it. And it worked once for me. I don't need that again. And I'm with you. I could see that working. Maybe for the rest of the universe, it should be done with one more franchise, because nobody liked that Matrix movie besides me.
But people not like, because of what I haven't seen that movie, but because of what you're telling me that's about, they're probably happy that no one liked it, because that proves their hypothesis for making it, right? Like, I mean, maybe they wish more people got it, but
yeah,
like,
it's hard to say, because they also, like, I think Wachowski got pretty creative with world building and adding some cool stuff to the lore and everything. Like, it seemed like a thing that she got passionate about as she was making it.
mm-hmm.
So, but I see what you're saying. Like, there's probably some truth to that too. It's a weird thing. I mean, the whole culture is just a dog chasing its tail right now, and we need to, I hate to put it like this, but we need to put the dog down and go to the pound and get another dog right now. That's what needs to happen. Okay, we have a lot of super chats, and I'm going to stop with lead-in topics, I've decided. We just, from now on, we're just going to show up and be like, yeah, it's Thursday, let's have a show. I'm kidding.
Yeah, people are very active in the super chats. So let's move on. We've done one.
They're like, well, what happened was we gave the keys to the asylum to the inmates.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving right along.
Claudio Miran.
Hi there.
$10.
Thank you. What's up?
This Christmas, forget the Die Hard debate. Is Daredevil Born Again a Christmas story?
Oh man, I haven't read Born Again in a long time, so I don't feel like I can speak to that right now. DJ, have you read Born Again?
I believe I have, but only once, and yeah, like you said, it was a long time ago.
It's been 4 or 5 years for me. I mean, I think that's set around Christmas, but I don't know if it counts. I need to go back to it, and I feel bad because it's a $10 super chat, and I want to give you a good answer, but I don't remember it well enough. Maybe the larger question is, if it's set at Christmas, does that automatically make it count? And I think thematically it has to have something to do with the season. Like, there's a difference between the setting and premise. We
can talk about this. Yeah, this is an interesting topic, because I am a Christmas fan. I'm a fan of Christmas. I like Christmas. I do usually spend the month of December just watching Christmas movies. And I think there is a difference. I think just taking place at Christmas, I mean, you can have your own, whatever, everyone has their own definition, but I think for me, it does have to have something to do, at least like thematically, with something that relates to Christmas, like family or, goodwill, all that stuff. I don't know. Just taking place at Christmas. Like Iron Man 3 takes place at Christmas.
Giving versus taking.
Yeah, whatever you want. You can connect it. You could probably connect most things, but like
really easily. Yeah.
But just try. Just do something. Don't just, there's a Christmas tree in one scene, so it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, that doesn't make it a Christmas movie. I think the kind of bottom of the barrel litmus test is probably Batman Returns. I think that movie is the least Christmas you can go while still being called a Christmas movie. If you're at least as much about Christmas as Batman Returns is, you're a Christmas movie. Because that movie doesn't overall really feel like a Christmas movie to me, even though it's set then, but there is a little bit of some thematic stuff going on with that, with like Mech Shrek and trying to make people think that he is above board and that he's a good guy and that you're giving back to the community while he's trying to steal all the power from Gotham City for himself, for his own for his own corporation and all of that. And there's at least in kind of a, I can't think of a better way to put it, in kind of like a jokey or cutesy way, a Christmas motif through that movie where like Batman even at the end of the, or Bruce Wayne even at the end of the movie says like goodwill to men, and then he's and women, which is silly. But so I don't know if you're as much, you have to at least be as much of a about Christmas as Batman Returns is, and then I'll call you a Christmas movie. And Die Hard fits that bill certainly.
Yeah. Oh, they're still coming in. Lucas Green, £5. With the recent passing of Kevin Conroy, do you think it adds more weight to Arkham Knight, given the fact of what happens with Batman's character in that game?
Does what have more weight? Like his passing, or is Gotham Knight going to feel more poignant now that he's gone? Like, is that the question? I don't know what he means by weight.
Given the recent passing of Kevin Conroy, do you think it adds more weight to Arkham Knight?
To Arkham Knight. Maybe so. I mean, I would have to go back and play that again because it's been several years and I don't like that story overall. There's a lot of great setup in that game, and there's some certainly emotional beats where I'm actually kind of feeling something, particularly with his relationship with Gordon and with Barbara Gordon in that game, and then it does some cheating, and it's suddenly not as interesting as I thought it was going to be, unfortunately. Never mind the whole revelation of what the Arkham Knight is and all of that, and how poorly that's handled and how obvious that whole thing was. But yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, Batman, like Joker, is gone in that game, and yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll go back to that someday. Maybe I'll have a different opinion on it. Jar Jar Ed, this Tuesday stream is obligatory.
It is.
And then he says in all caps, "People say this." At least one person said it.
Yeah, that's what everybody's talking about. Yeah, sorry for not being very articulate about Arkham Knight. It's been too long, and like story wise, it's hard to speak to it. I think I'll say this real quick about that too. I think I would have overall the same kind of experience that I did with it before, in getting to the end and just the kind of, I mean, I already know what happens, but there's it's a little bit of a letdown, and the writing is not great, but it would. Maybe the thing that would give it more weight is just the fact that the Arkham trilogy overall, especially gameplay-wise, is wonderful, and you're not going to have him, voicing that in a video game again. And so it might feel more final in that way, I suppose. But yeah.
All right, Mutale, super chat. Would you rather live in a world? Well, a good would you rather? In a world where Frank Miller never wrote Daredevil.
Oh.
Or Chris Claremont never wrote X-Men.
Okay, so everybody get your guns at the ready, because you're not going to like my answer. I can't live in a world where Claremont didn't write X-Men.
Yeah.
I can't have it. Are you with me on this, DJ? Like, as much as I would hate to not have Miller's Daredevil and not have the good Daredevil stuff that came after that because of him, I don't think I could deal with it with X-Men.
I am not with you, but I understand why you say that. I actually thought you were going to say that before you did it, because you have to extrapolate, right? Like, we never get the 90s show. You never get your X-Men 2, your favorite. You never get Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past, yeah. And I'm also going to say it's... what's the word I'm looking for? It basically is just, at the end of the day, kind of math too. Like, it just kind of works itself out. The sheer number of characters that Claremont created and developed that you wouldn't have versus Daredevil, like it's kind of just a numbers game.
Yeah. That's a great question, though.
It's a pretty cool question. if you're a huge Daredevil person and you don't care about X-Men, because it's all Marvel doesn't mean that you necessarily care about every aspect of the Marvel universe. Some of us are more X-Men people, some of us more Daredevil people, some of us don't care about either of those things. And X-Men, I talk about this a lot. I never think of myself as an X-Men guy, but there are versions of that like, I'm not a huge comic book X-Men fan, but especially with extra media and stuff, it's the only team I've ever really cared about with superheroes. I'm not an Avengers guy, I'm not a Justice League guy, but when you say, you know, who's your favorite X-Men, it's hard for me not to be like, I mean, yes, like X-Men's a team, and then, you know, Wolverine I love, but almost more on his own. Like, I think of him as almost like a separate entity. So you don't, yeah, I mean, X-Men is not X-Men without Claremont. Mm-hmm. And it's too many cool characters that you just wouldn't even have.
That's a good point for your argument too, is there's been a lot of good Daredevil writers.
Yeah, Daredevil might have been okay without Frank Miller. Now, again, that might be blasphemy to a lot of people, because, as you say, there have been a lot of great Daredevil writers, but it's important to note that just like with Claremont, they're all building on that guy in the first place. Mm-hmm. Now, some writers have gotten farther away from Miller's version, but somebody else would have had to come along and take the baton and turn Daredevil into something more interesting and complex, like Miller did. And it's hard to say if that would have happened, and it's hard to say if that wouldn't have happened with X-Men. Somebody else could have come in. If this is turning into a what if show again. But DJ, if you don't have Claremont, there are a couple of guys I could see coming in and developing X-Men in a popular way and creating a bunch of cool characters. It's hard to say if anybody would have been on it for 10 years like he was, but Morrison could have potentially come in at some point and developed X-Men into something as popular as what Claremont did. Other guys that maybe could have had that effect, if they came in somehow, like Gaiman could have done it. Who else? I'm sure other people will come to me as we continue, but like there's other talented guys that might have happened with, but Claremont was like, right guy, right place. Like maybe Simonson if he wasn't doing Thor, because he's so good at mythology, like that could have happened.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting to consider, if you didn't have Claremont and X-Men, what even is the career of Jim Lee and Liefeld and yeah,
it's a crazy snowball that question was set off. Lots of snowballs. Senior Sticks.
Speaking of snowballs, it started snowing here last night.
Whoa!
Already.
Wow. It finally, yesterday, like Sunday it was 80 degrees. And then finally yesterday it dropped like overnight to like 30. And I was like, oh, winter. We get no fall. Now. We go from summer straight to winter. We have no fall.
So we actually got a fall this year, and we've had years like that. I was really excited that because fall's my favorite season, and I was excited that we got leaves on the ground, and they were different colors, and it was really pretty. Halloween night felt like Halloween night. It was the proper temperature. I didn't have to put extra clothes on top of the kids' costumes so nobody could see what they were wearing. I freaking hate that. That was wonderful. And then DJ, like a day or two later, it dips down to 30.
Oh, well, that's nice that it held off for Halloween.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like fall. I mean, we still have the colorful trees; they look good, but it's still just like 75 degrees. It's very strange.
Yeah, I want to say I would take that, but it wouldn't feel like fall if the temperature didn't dip down to at least 45 or 50. Like it's got to be a little cooler. It's got to be at least hoodie weather. Yeah,
I at least want to wear like a long sleeve tee or something.
Yeah.
I was like wearing a t-shirt while my kids were trick-or-treating.
But you'd rather have what you have there probably, because now that it's in the 30 where you're at, it probably won't keep fluctuating, right? Like it'll probably stay there.
Probably.
Do you figure? Or will it?
Yeah.
Because Kansas
weather,
a
little bit, probably.
Because Kansas weather it snowed last night, and I looked over at Jason. I had to drive in it, and it was coming down pretty hard. We didn't get a lot on the ground that stuck, but like it looked it wasn't bad, but it looked kind of blizzardy. And I'm driving Jason home, and I'm like, you just watch. Thursday or Friday of this week, it'll be 75 degrees outside. Like, that's Kansas weather. It's ridiculous. You can't dress for success, especially at this time of year, where you'll go outside. We're talking about the weather tonight. You go outside, DJ.
There were clouds in the thumbnail.
And it'll be like 60 degrees in the morning, or like 50, 60 degrees, and you'll be like, oh, I don't need a jacket. And then something will happen, and it's like 20 degrees on your way home, and you're like, I was not prepared for this. You should always have a parka and shorts in the trunk of your car if you live here.
Yep, you just got to wear removable layers.
All right, and this concludes Weather Talk with Captain Logan. Moving right along.
All right, Senior Sticks,
Hi
$2. Do you have things planned for Cap? Example, bowling.
It's not even a suggestion, it's an example.
It's an example of what he's talking about. You know, these kind of things. Do you have these kind of things planned?
Things like bowling. Hey, DJ, do you have anything planned? Example, bowling?
We could go bowling. There's a lot of things we could do. I'm in a big city. Atlanta's a really big city. But no, we talked about it a little bit. I think we are just going to kind of hang out and, just do the kind of things we like to do together, because we don't have much time together. But I'm sure we'll do some things that we'll go out and do.
I do want to go out and do some cool stuff. If you've got any really neat, like, retro arcades there, I'd love to do that.
Yes, I should look that up. I should look up arcades.
I wasn't sure if you were enough of an arcade person to do that, but if you indulge me, I'd love to go find one.
Yeah, I'll definitely look that up tomorrow, or Thursday. I'll look into that, because that's a great idea. Or comic shops or something. I'm sure I could find something cool for you.
Okay, cool.
Or bowling.
Yeah, or bowling. Or bowling in a comic shop that has, like, pinball machines in the back.
Or axe throwing. We could do that.
I've never done that.
I've never done it either. It's all the craze these days.
And I haven't done the weird, like, break things in a room thing that people pay for. You know what I'm talking about? Where you're like, you go to just get your rage out and you just break crap.
Now these are great ideas for videos for the channel. Cap and DJ break a room.
We just break a room.
And it's not clickbait. We actually do it.
Yeah, we'd probably get some views on them. Would be really funny if we suddenly had a big subscriber spike over that, and then we had to have a serious, long business meeting about whether or not the new direction of the channel is just Cap and DJ break crap.
I think we should just continue the series. Cap can't bowl. Cap can't break a room. But that's
just make the whole channel about my incompetence.
Or we could twist the title and say, "Can Cap bowl?" And then it's like they have to watch to see.
Everything's a question mark. Oh yeah, and then we have a new kind of sign that's red and green, and it's
I'm watching you just do it, and the camera's on me, and I'm just like,
yeah,
nope.
Yeah, it's not if you're feeling it or not. It's Cap can, Cap cannot.
This is all gold.
It really is. See, this is why we don't actually call each other very often and have business meetings. We just do it on the air and waste everybody's time.
Well, I mean, that's why we get our best work done.
We also don't write anything down, so I forget about half these ideas, and then I feel like I've got to go back and listen to our shows.
That's true. We really need someone to do the cliff notes for us.
What our plans even are. Yeah. Cap can't plan.
That's probably true. We could probably go ahead and flip to red on that one.
Forget Skype throwing you out. Where's my eject button?
All right. Adam March.
This show was about nothing, and I'm having the best time I've had in a little while.
Exactly. With the turn off the news. That's the message for today. Turn off the news and turn on the nonsense.
Watch this preposterous whatever it is. Hey, let me pause for a second. And speaking of, in all seriousness, I had a delightful time last night with everybody that came out for the Kevin Conroy show, and I just wanted to thank everybody who showed up for that. We had a big crowd. We watched Mask of the Phantasm. We commiserated about the life and body of work of Kevin Conroy. And Austin was there. He had a lot of really great, insightful things to talk about with Mask of the Phantasm and with Kevin Conroy's vocal performance as Batman. And I was just really thrilled and excited about the time we were able to have with that, because I was worried it was going to be just really, really depressing, and we, there was some mourning in it, of course, as there should be, but we had a really just wonderful time celebrating the man. And originally my plan was to make that the lead-in topic for tonight's show, and then the day before it just kind of hit me. I was like, I really want to watch Mask of the Phantasm. And I was even thinking about showing it to DJ, because DJ's never seen it, and like while I'm there, and I might still do that. But I was so I didn't do that instead necessarily, DJ. But I was just thinking, like, no, that's the thing to do. Like, just get everybody together on the night we usually do Rewind, to see who wants to come out for it, and watch that and talk about Conroy. And even though I've already got a couple of commentaries on that movie, that was the only thing I wanted to watch, and I'm really glad that we did that. So anyway, thank you guys. It was one of the best things we've done in a really long time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have not finished listening to that, but I need to. But maybe not, because I haven't seen the movie yet. I'll hold off.
Yeah, we probably... Well, there's no way some of the major stuff in that movie hasn't been spoiled for you by now, right?
Yeah, I've been listening to this channel for a long time.
You've been listening to me for too long with that. I was going to say, like, it would be... Because I was thinking about Phantasm, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited to see DJ's reaction to the big twist in this. And I'm like, there's no way he doesn't know it!
Yeah. Yeah, that's happened a couple times on this channel, but it's okay.
It's amazing that you still associate with me after I've ruined things.
Well, we have a contract. You don't remember? You don't remember the blood contract we both signed?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the one that says that if you ever leave the channel, you owe me 9,000 tacos.
And I just can't find that many tacos. I've been trying, but there's no way out.
He doesn't want to pay for that many tacos. And it's not Taco Bell tacos either, man. Like, it's got to be at least Chipotle level.
No, see, there it is. That's
the
problem.
Said burritos. I don't know why I didn't do that.
I love burritos. I had a burrito today for lunch.
Let's go get burritos.
Cap and DJ get burritos. Can Cap burrito?
Cap can burrito. Cap can burrito all day long. All right, moving right along.
Adam Arch, excuse me. Hey, Cap and DJ. As we approach the day, what is your dream guest list of fictional characters for the Thanksgiving dinner? Who would bring the yams, and why is it not Norman Osborn?
The yams would be brought absolutely by Rorschach.
Yams. Fine like this.
Fine like this. These questions are always fun. DJ, throw out a couple of characters that you would love to guest at your Thanksgiving dinner. I don't know how to take this seriously and not pick people that would be horrible choices.
Yeah, I'm not going to pick this, but I've only ever seen one episode of Teen Titans Go, and it was actually pretty fun. It's the episode where Batman comes to Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But that's the only episode I've seen of that show. So I'm not going to pick Batman.
What does Batman do at Thanksgiving dinner? He's not eating nachos, I can guarantee you that.
He was just all like super grumpy. He was kind of like Rorschach. He was just like sitting and they're all like super nervous because he's coming and trying to scramble around and get everything ready. It was cute. It was fun. But I don't know what that show is like.
This to everything possible, it's a lot harder.
I know. He just said
fictional characters.
Well, he didn't even say that. He said, yeah, a list of fictional characters. That's always when I hear that, my stomach drops because I'm like, oh, I can't think of any fictional characters.
I can only think of historical figures right now. I guess I'm gonna say Lincoln from Batman Brave and the Bold, because I can only think of real life characters that showed up in fiction.
Yeah, fictional characters is just so broad.
I'm gonna go with Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
That'd be good. I am gonna go with Larry David from whatever Larry David's show is called. What the heck is his show called?
The Larry David Show?
No, the HBO show that he did for like 11 seasons.
Oh. Well, I thought he had a show called The Larry David Show. Was that a different show?
No, it's that. He plays himself on it, but it's not called that. It's called
it
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Okay, yeah. Did he also have a show called that? Maybe not.
I don't know. But yeah, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David, he's always just, he's like my spirit animal. He always says exactly all the things that we all know, like all of us in society know that we're all thinking, but no one will say it because of politeness. He says it, and it'll be perfect for Thanksgiving, especially with Saul Goodman there.
Yeah.
They would get along great.
And then another one. So we've got those two guys there, and then I'm gonna throw out him from the Powerpuff Girls. Like, he shows up and he's like, "This is the great," or he's like, "This is the greatest cranberry sauce on the planet."
Wow, this is turning out to be quite the roster. I'm gonna go with King Kong's son from the 1933 film that they cranked out in the same year, Son of Kong. He's much smaller and he's like white, and it's a horrible film, but he goes like,
Wow, okay. Sure. Cutting the turkey will have the cigarette smoking man from the X-Files.
Wow, this is not probably what he was expecting when he asked this. We haven't said any superhero characters.
No, I can't take this seriously.
Oh man.
No, I have to make it ridiculous. And then I'm also gonna have the crypto freak Tina Greer from Smallville, who's a shapeshifter, and you'll know she's there, but you won't know which of them it is, because she'll be there as some other fictitious character.
And I will just have one lone Oompa Loompa there.
Just the one?
Just the one. Just to tell everyone, what they're doing wrong. They should be more thankful.
And then I'll go with Metalhead from Ninja Turtles, so he can just complain about not being able to eat.
What is food?
He'll be like, "I want pizza, but I don't eat, so I don't know why I want pizza. But I'm a Ninja Turtle, so I want pizza." I don't know what he was expecting.
Yeah, I don't know why he came to a Thanksgiving lunch.
No, I mean, I don't know why. I don't know what this guy asking this question was expecting.
I don't know, but not this.
All right, moving right along.
Thank you, Adam Arch. That was a great question. I quite enjoyed that. He said, "Son of Kong."
Answer, certainly, but
he said, "Son of Kong should visit for every holiday." I agree, Adam Arch. Goofster123, another $10. Have you guys not played the Back to the Future Telltale game? Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox come back.
Yep.
Although Marty was played by a different voice actor. Fun, but kind of convoluted and with a focus on Doc.
Yeah, and I found it somewhat cryptic in places to figure out what you were supposed to do, so I never finished it. I have read some of the comic adaptation, which I think is kind of a better way to get that story, although I never finished it. But so maybe it's not fair for me to say that I only read the first, like, half of that, I think. But no, I have. I didn't bring it up earlier because, it's not a movie, and it's not... I don't think that's... I can't remember if that's actually a sequel, if that takes place, like, someplace in the middle of those movies. I think... No, maybe it is later. It's been too long. Folks are bringing up stuff that I'm struggling to remember very much from this evening.
Yeah, well, I struggle to remember things from last week, so I don't envy you.
Brandon and I started playing that together at one point, and we got a little bit frustrated with it, so we never got back to it. But
all right, Senior Sticks, $5. Idea.
Yeah.
Back to the Future multiverse game, allowing for a Back to the Future prequel.
Okay. I guess I'm not totally understanding the concept there. Like, how does making it multiverse... What does that have to do with making it a prequel? Is it like a Marty and Doc from another universe show up early? Like, I'm not sure what he means by that.
Yeah, I don't know if he's necessarily relating the two. It was a Back to the Future multiverse game, and then in parentheses, it was allowing for a Back to the Future prequel. So maybe that's just another thing he wants in it.
But he said allowing, so I wasn't... Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure that there's any good reason to go multiverse with Back to the Future. It seems like too much stuff at once. Like, you could do that. I mean, if you want to play with paradoxes and things, but, like, you already have an allowance for multiple versions of characters with the way the time travel works in Back to the Future, where if you go back in time at a point that that a version of you has already gone back in time, then now there are several versions of you, and you could have a lot of fun with that. I will say the idea of more movies is irksome. The idea of more video games doesn't bother me at all. Doing the same kind of thing that we did with Ghostbusters, you can really have your cake and eat it too. Like a lot of people like to consider that sort of Ghostbusters 3. That's not really what I would want for Ghostbusters 3 because it has to play the Ghostbusters greatest hits in going back to the Sedgwick Hotel and fighting Stay Puft again and like all the iconography that you're familiar with is in that, but it's fun for a video game because you get to go and do all that stuff, and who doesn't want to interact with all those things? And the story, if it has to go to those places, contrives good enough reasons for it, and all the writing is on point. So if you did a Back to the Future game that did essentially what Ghostbusters the video game did, that's the best case scenario for a sort of Back to the Future sequel. Isn't it weird how that works out, DJ, where some things, if you do exactly the thing that you do in a movie, it would irritate me, but if you do it in a different medium, it's okay. I don't know what that's about, but that's how I feel about it. Well, maybe it's just because the experience would be so different. And because I'm not invested in the same way, because it doesn't exactly count. Maybe that's part of it?
Yeah. And you obviously you have played games with great stories, but I still think the experience is still the number one thing you're there for in a video game.
Yeah, and you're not going to feel so let down if the story's not great because since it's in a different medium and because if they want to make more movies, they can't ignore that. You're not as invested. Like. And this isn't even a medium change thing, but one of the things I appreciated so much before Power Rangers 2017 came out was everybody called that a reboot, but it's not really a reboot. It's just another iteration because the series kept going on television. So, and like Neo Saban has not been great, so I don't have a lot of investment in that anyway. But like, there was kind of a nice disconnect I had with that, where I'm like, even if this movie isn't that great, it's not like it's paving over anything or whatever. It's like two different versions, and I wish everything could somehow sort of have that, where like you can't be too disappointed with it if it doesn't work out because you're not. I hesitate saying nothing's getting ruined because you have what you had before, even if it. Gets bad later, but at least it doesn't count and it's not continuing on a thing badly. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I have when a video game or a comic or something continues something on, where it's like it's easy to ignore it if it doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, switching mediums definitely helps. Matt Jazz fan, $4.99. Yeah. Hey guys, as a huge horror fan, I was wondering what movie has scared or creeped you out the most. For me, it's The Ring remake. Thanks.
Yeah, I had that a little bit when that came out. I loved The Ring because it was actually scary. And I loved 28 Days Later for the same reason, which came out the same year. It was actually kind of scary. DJ, I know you're, and I'm not either, but like I've probably seen more like bona fide horror movies than you have. What's the first thing that comes to mind for movies that have actually like legitimately creeped you out and you were uncomfortable watching them?
I've said this here before, but I will just say it again while I think of something else.
Sure.
I watched the original Psycho film only a few years ago, and it was the perfect environment because my wife was out of town and I was in the apartment all alone, and I watched it at night, which I think is the best way to watch Psycho. So I was home alone and I watched it at night, and it was I mean, it wasn't like a thing where I was like, no, like I was like terrified, but I was kind of unnerved, and I was like, when I took a shower the next morning, it was just that little thing. I was like, you know that kind of thing where you're just like slightly creeped out, which is what he asked. So I think that applies. But also Diabolique, which is very similar to Psycho. I watched last year for Halloween. It is a very similar vibe. Those two directors were going back and forth in the 50s and 60s, and Diabolique is another great film that also gave me the willies, just like looking over my shoulder over the couch, just to see if anyone's in my house, that kind of thing. But yeah, I haven't watched something that like made me just like actually legitimately have to turn it off because I was scared of what I was seeing.
Yeah, I haven't had that in a long time because I've gotten desensitized. There's too many movies that people have made me watch on the channel now that I never would have watched otherwise, and it's gotten me to where I can handle more stuff, which I guess is a good thing. Uh, but
Mhm.
in some ways, I kind of miss movies being able to have that effect on me. I guess everybody, eventually gets desensitized if they keep watching enough of a certain kind of thing. Uh, yeah, my responses are kind of going to be obvious for folks that have watched the channel for a long time too, and a lot of it is stuff that people have made me watch. And I always like for a request, I always hesitate bringing these up because I don't want people to keep asking me to watch stuff like this. But one of them is Society. I had a very, very difficult time getting through that movie. I'll never look at it again. I don't want to think about it anymore. It's intentionally disgusting, very difficult to look at. It's about cannibalism, and there is really freaky like transformations in that movie. It's some really impressive puppetry and stuff, but yeah. And
Mhm.
then Eraserhead, I cannot deal with. That's another movie I do not want to think about. And Austin really liked it when we had to do a request for it a few months ago. I couldn't handle it. That one was rough. And DJ, I was pacing my basement watching that movie.
Wow. Yeah, that's
I
Connor's been trying
couldn't
to get me
sit
into Lynch forever.
I couldn't sit in one place. I had, and especially like the soundtrack was really unnerving, and like I can't get away from it. Just getting up, like even looking away from the movie, I'm still having the same experience because I'm hearing it.
Yeah, well, I want to ask. This is a conversation I want to have with you
Yeah.
because you watch a lot of things in the basement by yourself at night. I this is the first experience I really had with that because I watched a lot of movies in October for like I did a Spooktober challenge for my channel. I was watching a lot of movies I'd never seen that are Halloween related, and I watched them all downstairs in the basement at night when everyone else was asleep, with the theater door closed and the theater completely pitch black, and that helped. Even things that probably weren't that creepy. I was very creeped. I kept looking. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
do you have that by yourself in the basement?
I not really. I can't think of the last time I did. Yeah, there's sort of a sensory deprivation thing maybe that happens when you turn on the lights off. The thing is, I have a setup like you where it would be easy to go totally pitch black. Um, and actually, I'm somewhat envious of your setup because I have windows. I guess I could block them out, but like during the day I can't do that. I could do it at night,
Hmm.
but I don't because I tend to fall asleep if it's too dark. So I
Okay, okay, that's fair.
I have a projector screen, or I have a projector that does really well with a little bit of light around, and light doesn't mess with it too much. Like it's still a really good picture. So I do tend to turn on like one camera light just so that I'm like aware and I'm not as likely to like go to sleep while I'm watching movies. So I don't do it because I'm
Okay, yeah, that probably
scared.
helps.
But like I don't watch a lot in pitch black just because I'm afraid I'm gonna fall asleep. I do turn my monitors off now because that started getting distracting. I used to leave the monitors on when I watched movies, and that was getting irritating.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
So
because
yeah,
that
I
can
guess I
interfere with
haven't had
projectors.
that too much. Um, the closest I came besides Eraserhead, again a thing that somebody requested, was probably the movie Creep, and I liked that
Creep.
enough. I watched the sequel. That's an unnerving movie. It's sort of found footagey, where it's about a guy who's hired to document this other guy's life. He has to follow him around, and it turns out that he was that the guy wasn't actually doing this documentary project, and he just wanted to like mess with somebody, and it's like it's really creepy. It's this kind of like bizarre bullying kind of thing, and the guy's just nuts and doing all kinds of really strange things on camera, and the sequel is really weird, but
Yeah,
and it's okay, but that first movie, yeah, it's unnerving, and that I watched for whatever reason with all the lights off, and yeah, that was weird.
yeah, yeah. I'll quickly just run down a few things that I watched down in the theater
Sure,
that creeped
sure.
me out in this October. Day of Wrath, the 100 Monsters, which is the first movie in the Yokai Monsters trilogy. That's very atmospheric and a little spooky. And Koroneko and the Ballad of Narayama and Devil's Backbone. Just this yeah, nothing really like scarred me where I was having nightmares or anything, but like after the movie's over and I have to go upstairs by myself and it's all dark, I'm just like you shuffling up the stairs a little quicker than I I normally would. But yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's been a
happens
long
sometimes.
time since I had that experience. I don't know if you watched more just straight up horror, you would get to where you didn't have that.
Yeah. It's not even more like it's kind of just like I think it's also still just because it's a brand new house and there could be someone in the house.
Sure. No, absolutely.
So I wasn't fully feeling like at home yet because that was the first month we moved.
Yeah.
Um, TH1, $5. If you were trapped in the library from the page master and could read any book ever, what book do you read? Great show tonight, guys. Thoughts on the Wick trailer?
Yeah, I'll talk about that here in a second. I'm thinking. I don't have a great answer for this right off the top of my head, DJ.
Yeah, I don't have like a list of books that I want to read that I can't read.
Yeah. The problem is that we're living in the future and everything's available. Like, I feel like, and nothing against Tom's question, but I feel like the answer to this, or the question really is just, what's a book you've never read that you want to read, right?
Mm-hmm. Which I do have a lot of that because there are
Sure.
a lot of books I haven't read that I'd like to.
You know, I could probably come up with books that I wish somebody had written that they didn't, like, before they died or something, you know, like some kind of holy grail thing that just never existed that would be, you know, cool to get your hands on. Uh, Nothing's coming to mind right away, but yeah. Like, there's a lot of Stephen King that I've always meant to read that I haven't gotten around to yet. There's a lot of biographies, particularly with Star Trek actors that I've just never gotten around to. I don't have a great answer for this.
Yeah, I don't know. Just fresh on my mind is I wish I had read. I would like to read more Tolkien. I've only read Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and recently watching the show and seeing some of the backstory that's in there, and then talking to my friend who knows a ton about Tolkien, and he's talking about all this backstory with Morgoth, and all this stuff, and I'm like, wow, that sounds interesting. I wish I knew that stuff, but I don't because I've never read anything except for the big ones. But I could. I have them. I could, but I just don't.
A lot of Neil Gaiman. I've still never finished American Gods, but like I have a copy of that over here. I just haven't finished it.
Yeah. I actually have. Actually, no. I started listening to the audiobook of that, and I got about 75% through, and then I just stopped.
Oh no!
And I didn't.
Did you lose interest, or did you just forget to go back to it?
I didn't. No, I don't know. I just didn't feel the need to finish it. I don't know. It wasn't grabbing me.
Wow, I was liking it, but I didn't get more than 100 pages in. I don't even know if I got that far.
I was liking it. And I was enjoying it while I was reading, but it was just like I never felt the need to go back to finish it. I was enjoying it while I was like mowing the grass or like driving and stuff, but then I just started listening to other things.
It was why it says shame the TV show got canceled. Yeah, I didn't hear anything one way or the other whether that was worth watching, but I did hear about that. Oh, it went on for 3 seasons. I didn't even know it was on that long.
Interesting. Victor Herman.
Well, real quick, I gotta finish that super chat because he asked about the John Wick trailer.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
No, you're okay. No problem. So it looks like more of the same in the best way possible. Like, it's more John Wick. I love those movies. The premise is about what we know so far is about what I would have expected, with kind of a cool twist depending on what we're talking about with John Wick's family being at the table. I don't know what that means yet, and if we actually get into his parentage and that plays a part in how he got into the the hitman life and all of that. That's going to be really interesting. But I don't know what exactly that means yet. I don't know if that's somehow metaphorical, if we're talking about like his actual honest to God family. So we've, for the last couple of movies, we've been peeling the curtain back and seeing more and more about how this heightened, very comic booky world of assassins operates. And there's clearly more lore to do, especially with like the new management and how that's going to be handled with the high table and everything. But the big new place left to go with mythology is like John Wick's background before his wife, which we really don't know very much about. Or I don't remember a ton of that coming up. 2 and 3 I've only watched a couple times a piece, and it's been a little while, so I'm kind of rusty on that material. But that was appealing and exciting to me, and kind of provocative. I'm excited about more Fishburne. I hope he's in a lot more of that movie. He got a wonderful part in the last one, and it looks like he's going to have more to do here, and maybe not just be the gun supplier or sort of M to or Q to John Wick's James Bond. And his face is all messed up, and he looks almost like a jigsaw puzzle. Like he looks more scratched up and more messed up than he did before, I think. Maybe I'll go back to that last one and be like, nah, he already looked like that, but he looks pretty screwed up. But I mean, yeah, what can I say? I love those movies. I'm excited for more of that, and I hope they make 3 or 4 more of them. That just seems like a wonderful train that should keep going until Keanu Reeves just cannot move like that anymore. It is very much like the Mission Impossible series, where they've been great. There's no reason not to keep making them as long as those guys want to keep doing it. So yeah, I'm excited.
Victor Herman, $4.99. In the Thanksgiving spirit,
yeah,
what superhero movie or TV show from 2022 are you most grateful for?
Grateful for it, man. I'm sure glad this was in my life. Weird, the Al Yankovic story, because it's the most important thing that's ever happened in the history of mankind.
That's not a superhero movie.
I will just keep saying that. Oh, I thought he just meant anything that came out in 2022. It's got to be a superhero thing?
What superhero movie or TV show from 2022 are you most grateful for?
It's the Batman. I mean, nothing else comes close to that this year.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything else this year. Except for Miss Marvel.
That's unfortunate.
What else has come out this year that was good?
Well, I mean, I feel like there's been something that was better than that movie. Well, no, I like Doctor Strange 2 quite a bit. What else happened this year? Yeah, a lot of unmemorable or really mediocre
yeah,
things,
so mine would be the Batman by default.
Yeah,
but I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to that movie.
I watched a lot of really not great things this year that did not impress me, and Phase 4 has ultimately been pretty mediocre.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a more interesting answer. I don't know anything else that came out. I watched Umbrella Academy Season 3, and I really didn't like it. But yeah.
Yeah,
The Batman.
I finally got around to Invincible, but that was last year, I think.
Yeah, that's not from 2022. Well, sorry we don't have a more interesting answer.
I mean, that's the answer. Like, nothing else got close to that.
That's the truth. Yeah, we can't change the truth. Mutale. How different would Iron Man 3 have been if it was set before Avengers 1? Also, there is a Christmas issue in the Wade run. I remember that, actually. I do remember that.
You're talking about with Daredevil?
Yeah.
Iron Man 3 would have been a lot different if it happened before Avengers. Tony Stark's whole motivation in that is about the world opening up to him, or the universe opening up to him, and his feeling like he doesn't have control of anything. He's having nervous breakdowns over it. And that informs a lot of his decisions in that, and his becoming a little bit less full of himself and realizing he's more of an actual human being. I don't know what kind of story gets told exactly with that movie if you don't have that. You could still have more or less the same character arc, I suppose, even without that, but I feel like the germ of the idea that sparks that whole story begins and ends with Tony Stark tried to make the sacrifice play and survived, and now has to live in a world that he feels like he has no control over. So I don't know if it's as good of a movie without that, because I think that was a wonderful place to begin with that.
Yeah. Mutale again. Excuse me. I just copied that one twice for some reason. Jar Jar Ed, $5. How different would Iron Man 3 have? What in the world?
You just read that.
No,
pretty
this
different,
is different.
DJ. It'd be pretty different.
It is different. Jar Jar Ed. They're trying to confuse me now.
Give me a
Jar
different
Jar
question,
Ed.
would you?
Jar Jar Ed, $5. How different would Iron Man 3 have been if Jon Favreau directed it?
Oh, it's a different question. I'm shocked.
And then he says, Iron Man 3 is my favorite solo MCU film, so I ask out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been very different, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Because in a lot of ways, that's a very, very Shane Black movie.
Yeah.
It's not as Shane Black as it might have been, because he was saddled with a co-writer that he didn't really seem to want to work with. I guess they got along okay, and some of the better ideas in that movie, I think, came from him, if memory serves, from listening to the commentary. But there were definitely some things that Shane Black wanted to put in that movie that were put too much in the background, that are kind of in the movie, but aren't brought to the fore and aren't really dealt with that much, which was, a little bit unfortunate. But anyway, if Favreau makes that move, first of all, Shane Black meticulously scripts and storyboards everything, and that's not how Favreau works. So just, by virtue of how those guys operate, that's a different movie.
Yeah, would it have been?
It would have been
that's
about
just such a
different things, I would assume too, because Shane Black did conceptualize a lot of that narrative.
Yeah, it's such a, even from top to bottom, it's such a Shane Black movie. Like, even it's a mystery. Like, it's a buddy cop mystery. Like, I don't know if Favreau would have made that.
Probably not. Now, I also would assume that Favreau would probably look at the things that didn't work with Iron Man 2 and go in a very different direction. So I don't think we could expect more Iron Man 2. I think he'd probably do his best to make a very, very different kind of movie. But at that point in his career, I could also see an Iron Man 3 that's real lackluster and looks like the director didn't want to make it, because he jumped ship from that because, if memory serves, if I'm right about this, it seemed like he was not real happy with how much micromanaging or just, creative control he didn't have, due to already the way the machinery was starting to build for the MCU. And I think he felt a little bit pigeonholed with certain things, and that's part of why that movie didn't turn out as well as it could have. So it's really for the best, I think, that he didn't direct that movie.
Mm-hmm. Because I think that's where he turns off and starts doing some littler films, smaller films like Chef and stuff.
Like Chef, which is wonderful, and I'm really glad that he got to make that.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
I have.
It's neat.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
If he had directed Iron Man 3, there would have been lions everywhere and some realistic looking meerkats.
Well, and that's a good point. If he directs that movie, there's every chance that he stays in the MCU and keeps directing movies and doesn't end up moving out and doing other Disney things. And so the history would turn out pretty much exactly the same, except the Mandalorian wouldn't look like it does, probably. It doesn't really matter who's directing Lion King, let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't have one good Disney remake, because he wouldn't make Jungle Book.
That's true.
Yeah, which would be a bummer.
Yeah, and I mean, I liked that movie okay, but I'm being facetious when I say this, DJ. There's a part of me that wishes that movie was terrible and it tanked so they wouldn't make any more.
Well, there have been some that have not done well, and they just keep doing it anyway.
Just keep cranking them out anyway. I guess I was under the assumption that they've all performed beautifully.
They probably have, honestly. People like things they know.
Yeah. The worst thing ever was all the Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, my camera just unplugged from my machine for some reason. I don't know what's going on with that, so bear with me while I try to fix it.
Okay.
I'm gonna do my best. I don't know what caused that.
I
didn't
love
bump
your
it.
frozen expression, though.
I didn't bump it. I didn't move anywhere. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, while I'm trying to figure this out, my apologies, guys. I was just gonna say Hang on, let me see if I can wake this thing back up. You might just not have me the rest of the stream on video, but I'm gonna do my best here. I was just gonna say the worst thing with Lion King was all the products that are based on quote unquote live action, but are made to look cartoony based on the live action instead of just looking like the Lion King looked. It was so awkward. Like coloring books and toys and stuff. It was terrible.
Why do you have to market? You just put out Lion King stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's a new live action Lion King, so we just put out Lion King stuff. You don't have to make fake Lion. I don't know. But that's just products in general. Like,
yeah.
When superhero movies come out, just put out toys that look like the comics. We don't have to have the crappy looking MCU. Whoa. Sorry, I'm distracted. I was just looking at it because I can still see you in Skype.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh, that's why. No, I wish you'd told me that though, because if Skype has this camera, I'm not going to be able to use it in OBS.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize it was connected to Skype. Okay. This could be problematic.
Quite the predicament we've gotten ourselves into here.
Right?
It's because we brought up Disney. They tried to shut us down.
It's weird that they just shut down my camera.
Now we attack his source.
His camera. There we go. I'm back. A dinosaur story. But I'm back at a weird aspect ratio, so I'm still going to be monkeying with this for a minute, guys. Why is this always the default? I'll never understand that. It's like I have to custom the resolution. And what is it doing now? Okay,
he's huge.
Huge. Yeah.
And it truly is the Captain Logan show. There he goes.
Yeah, but with horrible dropped frames. What is happening here? And I still have to monkey around with and like create the correct aspect ratio. And oh, this is awful. What is happening?
It's anarchy.
It is. It's nuts. No.
One thing we can be sure of.
Why is it like this?
I don't know, man.
Okay. I'm gonna try one more time. I'm gonna try.
This is not the aspect ratio you were looking for.
It is not. How many more super chats do we have right now?
He just wants to jump ship. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
No, I just want to know how much time I'm wasting with this because
we have 10.
It's not working. Okay, because what I want to do is just go on a break and fix this, but the problem is there's no way to fix it without you guys seeing what I'm doing. Okay, so now I'm moving like a normal person.
There we go.
But it seems like whenever I try to change the aspect ratio, it
Well, it was bigger than 1920 by 1080. That might be why it might be taxing your system.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Well, I didn't do that on purpose. Hang on, I'm trying to delete it, and it's not working. Oh, there it goes. Oh, I've deleted everything. Okay, I deleted the background. I'm deleting everything.
Cap is a slideshow. Cap has become a PowerPoint presentation.
Oh man, I'm sorry about this, you guys. I don't know what the deal is.
Good thing the chat is here to keep us entertained.
Yeah, right now they're entertaining us.
Yeah, you see, it's like 2304, but it's like really big, so it might be slowing down.
Yeah, but I don't have any way to change that because if I just hit custom and it goes to that.
Well, when you hit custom, I think that box becomes editable.
No, I know, but all I did was hit custom. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, hit custom real quick.
Yeah.
And then you can change that box to 1920.
Oh, is that what I did?
Up there.
Okay.
Third from the top.
What is it? Yeah, no, I see it now. I don't know what I usually have it at.
Oh yeah,
I
just
definitely not that.
Because that's what I use is 1920. But yeah, whatever you usually use.
19. Oh, were you trying to tell me what to pick? Sorry, I missed something you said. Okay, we're good.
Oh,
now.
sorry, yeah.
No, we're good now. Okay. It still is very much the Captain Logan show. Okay.
As it should be. As it should be. Josh Galisano says, I think this is Dooms, Vince.
It's time for Ego Trip, the show. Okay.
All right.
We're good now. I'm sorry about that, guys. I don't know why that unplugged from my machine, but anyway.
We have John
Connor says, to be honest, this is very entertaining. We're just going to make this the show from now on. Cap monkeys around with his stupid camera.
Cap can't technology.
I'm a little bit flustered about the fact that so much of what we do now is just about me sucking at things.
Yeah, that's probably not good for the self-esteem.
It's really not, yeah.
We'll just start a sister series called Cap Can, and we'll do all the things you're great at. Cap Can Arcade. Cap can collect an arcade.
Oh, yeah, okay, so see, now you're just patronizing me. Cap can spend money and buy crap and put it in his basement. Can we, you know what, real quick, can I stop everything? Can we talk about this for a second?
Absolutely.
Okay, I have a question for you, and this is just all cards on the table, because I have this with stuff too, and I don't want to act like this isn't cool to me, but I'm just asking about an aspect of the human condition. Why is this interesting to people, okay? Collecting. What is exactly impressive about a person amassing objects? Right? Like, why do we like assign almost worth to people based on cool collections they have? Like, people, to some degree, find me interesting because I did that. But like, I just went out and bought stuff. You know what I mean? And like you know, the arcade, or like your movie collection, or comics, or Star Trek stuff. What the Tick collection, whatever it is it interesting because you're crazy enough to waste your money on this one thing? Like is that what it is? What is it about, like,
no,
like
I think it's more
car collectors, whatever it is. Is it interesting because, like, is it almost a cynical thing sometimes where you go, this person has value because they have enough money to do this thing? Or is it just because they thought of an interesting thing and they happen to have the resources, and it's not about how much, like, money they have or resources or whatever? Why do we find people interesting who buy a lot of one thing?
I think it's more positive than that. I think it's well, first of all, it is not always easy. It does take a lot of, I mean, eBaying is a skill. Like, tracking things down and finding things takes a lot. Maybe not a skill, but it definitely takes like determination that a lot of people don't have. Dedication to your craft.
That's a good point.
And I think it's also just like,
and like finding good deals. Like, it's more impressive if you're doing things like that on a budget.
Yeah, and I think there's also just like some, what's the word? Not wish fulfillment, but living vicariously through it. Like, I'm very interested in this thing. I would like to do this, but because of my circumstances, I can't. So I'm enjoying watching this person who has this.
Sure.
That's what I have.
So you don't think it's necessarily a jealousy thing?
No, I don't think so, because I have this with people who, like, there's someone, Daisuke Beppu, on YouTube, who has the entire Criterion collection, all 1,500 titles. Like, he has everything from the very beginning, and he's just been doing it all along. And he probably doesn't make more money than me or like a status thing or anything, but he's been there since the beginning, and he's just kept it going, and he's just that consistent and disciplined about it. And I respect that, and I just think it's very cool. I just like looking at it and like listening to him talk about it.
Yeah, I talked about this last week when Jason and I did our top 10 YouTubers, the Nintendo collecting channel, or the guy that's got this amazing Nintendo room. Like, I'm not looking at that necessarily wishing I had everything he had. I'm not a big enough Nintendo fan to have that. But just that's such a cool space he's created. Like, I want to go there. You know, I'll go look at it. It's like a museum. And the closest thing that you'll have to getting to go and see that museum is watching that guy, you know, walk around his room with a camera. Unless he invited you to his place for some reason.
That'd be cool.
Which I would go and do, by the way, if he did. Nintendo Collecting, if you're watching this, I'll fly out and see you, buddy. I'd love to go. I'd love to check out your basement. It is, but it is an intriguing phenomenon, right? That, like, just people amassing things is inherently interesting.
I think it's just an interesting thing about a person, and in a way that anything can be interesting, like a hobby that someone does. I don't do this hobby. I'm not in this world, but I can see it through their eyes because they're really into it. Because collecting is a hobby, like anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you see the passion through it. Like, it's more fun when a person is really knowledgeable and you get to listen to them talk about their stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Then just look at these neat things you have. Like, whenever I've gone to Metropolis to see the Superman Museum, it's always more fun when I can get a guided tour than just to go look at the stuff myself, because there's all this stuff that one of the guys that works there and the curator know about that you'll never know just walking through. That, you know, they can tell you the history of a lot of things.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting. Maybe we'll do something about collecting while you're here, because I think that's an interesting topic for me too. I love talking about that kind of stuff. But yeah, what just randomly sparked that thought?
I don't remember. Something.
Doesn't matter. It was a great conversation.
Yeah. And it just hit me. It was like, I've been a little bit preoccupied by that lately, where I'm like, it just feels like there's something a little bit primal about it, like the hunter-gatherer thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
In actually doing it, and that must be, like you said, it's a vicarious thing. That must be part of why we like watching other people do it with things that we find interesting, but we're not, you know, prioritizing or able to collect ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It might be in our DNA a little bit. That's interesting too. Shall we press on?
Absolutely. Yeah. Could do a whole show on that. Maybe we should, like you said.
We should. Absolutely. John Ty, $10.
Thanks, John. What can I do for you?
In an ongoing run from the Big Two, is it important to look at the different writers writing the book as a continuations of what the past writer did, or something new?
So this is another case-by-case thing. It depends. What really matters is what the writer is after. This is another continuity question, right? So I find it really easy for the most part, and some people don't feel this way about it, to separate, for the most part, different runs on the same character as long as they feel separate enough continuity-wise. What I mean is, you might read a story that happens in technically the same continuity, done by a writer a few years after the previous one that contradicts something that they put in their run. And if it's consciously building on the stories that last guy told, it feels like cheating. If it ignores it from the first issue, I don't have a problem with it. Do you see what I'm saying? So, like, if the writer is clearly trying to make a continuation of the last guy, and I guess there's different levels of this too, because sometimes you'll have somebody come in and they'll go, like, Daredevil was in this city, but now he's in this other city, and here's a totally different status quo, but we're, like, loosely relating it to what happened before. That feels kind of like a soft reboot. If he goes totally his own way and is occasionally contradicting plot points from the previous run, it's really easy for me to ignore that, even in that kind of situation. But if it feels like a continuation from the beginning, where he wants to build on what the last guy did, and then he starts contradicting things, and the excuse is just, well, I'm cherry picking what I want to use and what I don't, now it feels like cheating. But it's very case by case to me, because continuity is really loose and fluid with the Big Two, particularly with DC in general.
Great question, John Ty. Josh Galisano, $5.
Hi.
I was watching Breaking Bad, and there is this ridiculous character named Heisenbones. Does anybody remember this?
Heisenbones? Is he making a joke or something?
I don't remember that.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Heisenbones.
I mean, like, obviously the Heisenberg thing, but I'm not sure what I'm assuming there's a joke here I'm not getting.
Probably. I've only seen that show one time, and it's been a long time.
I've seen it 4 or 5 times. I don't know what he's talking about. Sorry, Josh. Let me know what you mean by that.
Josh.
This seems very over my head. I don't know what he's talking about. I will say real quick that I'm finally watching through Better Call Saul, which I had seen the first half of, I think, through season 3 a few years ago. And then at one point, I tried to get back into it, and it had been too long, and I couldn't remember enough of what had happened in that show. So I feel like I had to go all the way back to the beginning, and I could not find the time to get through that with other things I had to watch. And I've kind of stopped everything, and I'm finally going through it. I've been watching an episode a day since like a week and a half ago, maybe a week ago, and I'm almost through season 2 now. And oh boy, am I enjoying that.
I've heard nothing but great things. I've heard some people say it's even better than Breaking Bad.
A lot of people say that, and I'm not to that place yet, but I haven't watched more than through season 3, like I said. And some stuff is coming back to me, but there's other things I completely forgot about. I'll try not to give too much away since you haven't watched it, DJ, but there's a whole thing because we go back to a lot of Breaking Bad characters and invent backstories for them, and for the most part, it's a textbook on how to do a prequel correctly, and in telling a real story where more or less you don't actually have to really know the Breaking Bad material. Like, it feels like it's really happening and not too influenced by what will happen later. There's not a lot of cutesy stuff. There's not a lot of prequelitis, but then it also has this whole other layer if you're really familiar with Breaking Bad, of course, and most people wouldn't watch that unless they'd seen Breaking Bad, probably. I don't want to say necessarily that you want to start with Better Call Saul, but what I mean is they clearly tried to make that show in such a way where it's a story and not just back matter. You see what I'm saying? But comparing Jimmy, comparing Saul Goodman to Walter White through the whole thing is so interesting. Like, one of these shows, as Vince Gilligan always said, is about change, the study of a human being who is changing through the whole show. And Better Call Saul is kind of the opposite. It's about a guy who keeps trying to change and is incapable of it. It's a real good nature nurture kind of thing. And but like I said, there's whole things about it that I completely forgot happened, that I've seen, that I spaced out. Like, there's this whole bit where Mike is supposed to try to kill Tuco, and he's wrestling with whether or not he's going to do that. I forgot that even happened. And I was like, this is riveting. How do I not remember this? But anyway.
That's one of the pros of watching way too many things, is that you can re-experience things because they get pushed out of your mind.
For the very first time.
Exactly. I definitely have that.
I'm loving it. I'm at a place now where I'm having a hard time not watching 2 or 3 a day if I can work it in. I think I watched... Yeah, I had to put together something yesterday afternoon, and I was like a little piece of furniture, and I was watching that while I was building that. So I think I watched 3 episodes yesterday. But if somehow you happen to get around to it and catch up, I'd love to talk to you about it, DJ, when I'm done. I want to find somebody to do a podcast with, or to do a live stream with on that show when I'm finished watching it. Because I don't really want to talk about it by myself. I kind of want to find somebody that I can pick their brain about it, but...
Yeah, dense things like that are good to have someone to bounce off, for sure.
I did that with Breaking Bad when it finished. And Better Call Saul's not been off the air that long, so it'd be really good to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully I can find somebody that has recently watched through that, so I can do that with them.
Cool. I hope so. Jar Jar Ed continues to make me have to yell, which I don't love to do, but he's putting things in all caps. All caps. He says, in reference to his earlier comment, "People say that. People say this." Yeah. All caps, guys.
I don't know what he's on about.
No, Jar Jar Ed's he's an interesting character tonight. He is he's very adamant that people say this.
He did that a week ago with something where he was making fun of something I didn't understand what it was, and once he explained it, I was like, okay, I see what you're doing now.
Maybe we'll get that super chat.
Pardon me. Sorry. There are lots of super chats coming in right now, and we are already an hour and a half into the show. If you don't mind, DJ, I'm going to take just a real quick couple-minute break.
Absolutely.
And come back and try to knock them out. And we'll try really hard not to be here for too long, but I think there's got to still be at least 10 or a dozen super chats. So
yeah, there's over 10.
Okay.
We're in double digits.
Thank you guys so much for the support tonight. It's been a lot of fun questions. Give us just a minute and we'll be right back. And we're back. DJ, I gotta make some actual commercials for when I've got to get up and take a break.
That would be great. We should totally get on that.
I thought about it. Add that to the list. We'll do that while we're at your place. They'll all be filmed on location in Atlanta, Georgia.
We'll film them, commercials.
We'll film them with our phones at a Barnes & Noble and see if we get kicked out.
All right, shall we jump back in?
You guys are in rare form tonight. There's just so many questions.
So many questions.
Look, at the expense, or at the, I don't know what the heck I'm even talking about.
What are words?
What are words? At the risk of making the show go even longer than it really ought to, would you please go back and do at least a pre-written? Because I said at the beginning of the show we'll probably get to a lot of those tonight, and then the super chat barrage has been pretty massive tonight. So let's do at least one pre-written if we can, and then jump back to that. Try to find somebody who doesn't leave a lot of those if you've got anybody.
I do. I have someone that I've never read from one.
He goes, but the question sucks. So,
but it's not a bad question. It's just like, are you ever going to review this kind of question?
Okay, do that one and then do another one. Is that cool?
So Bob Garland,
hi,
DJ, can you ask Cap if a Batman Arkham Knight superhero rewind is going to happen? And this was before the other Arkham Knight question. Since Conroy just passed away, it would be appropriate.
Somebody was mentioning that last night, actually. I went back and looked at some of the live comments that I didn't see during the stream, and somebody was saying that it'd be cool if I did that. I don't want to, like, announce it as, like, on the short list or something I'm going to do real soon. Those things are massive. Like, I got to go through a whole game. Kevin Conroy made a big deal out of how crazy it was recording the dialogue for that. He has so many lines. He said it was like recording War and Peace. I think he said there was some 500,000 words or some absurd number of words that had to be recorded for that game.
Wow.
And it took a year to record all of it. It was nuts. So I would like to do that to round out the trilogy, because I have rewinds for Asylum and City. I would probably... I don't know if I would do a whole playthrough of the game or if I would just watch cutscenes and take a lot of notes, because I'd be talking about the story after all. But I always hesitate just watching cutscenes because, especially with a game like that, the story is informed sometimes by things you find in people that, you know, you hear talking through the game. So it would really take time to go back and do a whole playthrough, especially me, because I don't go through those games very quickly. Because I get lost in buildings, because I'm terrible at directions, and I get really self-conscious about it, and I get frustrated because I'm not good at it. So anyway, so I'm not going to say no. I do want to, but I can't promise when. So it's not going to be, you know, I'm not planning on doing it real soon. And I didn't want to, right after Kevin Conroy died, rush out a review of something, because movie-wise and game-wise, you know, things that I would do rewinds on, DJ, everything that's left is not great. You know, I wasn't going to... And we just did Mr. the Batwoman a week before he passed, which was weird. So, I don't know, to, like, rush out Arkham Knight or, you know, any of the other direct-to-video things that his voice is in, like, nothing that's left is brilliant.
Kind of along the same lines.
Yeah.
Jareth Gearhart also asked a pre-written, hey, Cap, thank you for the stream last night. It helped me feel better. Do you think they should recast Kevin Conroy or let his versions of Batman die with him?
There's not anything left to do, really, with particular versions of... And by the way, thank you for that compliment. I'm glad that you enjoyed the stream last night. There's not really anything left to do, I don't think, with any specific versions of Batman that Kevin Conroy voiced. The regular animated series version, we did plenty with. There wasn't anything really left on the table. If there was anything left to do, it ought to have been done in the last 15 years when we were really making any more DCAU stuff. I realize Fatal 5 counts, like there's a couple things here and there, but that movie was supposed to be its own thing, and then was retooled retroactively into DCAU, which is very, very strange, because if they were going to intentionally come back and make a DCAU movie, that's not what they would have done. It wouldn't have been Legion-centered, and it probably, and they probably would have tried to make something that felt a little bit more, you know, final in doing one more foray into that universe. That was, I heard an interview with Bruce Timm where he talked about that, and he said they were like, I don't know, halfway through pre-production on it, and the guy that was basically showrunning the New 52 inspired universe was like, oh, you can't do it the way you're doing it. Everybody's going to be really confused and think that it's part of our universe. And so he was like, okay, I guess we'll just use the character models for DCAU, and it was awkward. But anyway, so yeah, I don't think there's any recasting that's necessary. We're not going to get any more, like, actual honest-to-God Arkham games, probably. And, like, if you did, I don't think it's that big of a deal in bringing in somebody new, even though Kevin Conroy was definitive for Batman. There have been a lot of good Batman voices, and you just get, you know, you do something even older, I guess. I don't know what exactly you do, but yeah, I think, honestly, with respect, I think it's kind of a non-issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would have been cool to see him come back for more really great Batman stuff. It's not like I wanted him to be done with the character or anything. But I also feel like he did plenty.
All right, let's go to Brandon Martin.
Hi there.
What should the next Batman animated film be? I really want a Batman White Knight adaptation. I love that story, and the bat suit is badass.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I'm not against that. This is a place where I actually now I'm about to something just came to me, and I'm like, okay. So like now you are in weird recasting place with Kevin Conroy suddenly, because I'm like, I'd love to see the guy who voiced Terry McGinnis come back and do one more Batman Beyond movie. That would actually be a case where doing a post-death of Batman story would be really appropriate, right? You kill off 80-something.
Yeah, that's how you do
Bruce
it.
Wayne. Yeah, and you have him really having to go off on his own now, and maybe adapt or loosely adapt some of the decent material that's been done in comics with Batman Beyond. Go back to some of the early stuff from right before New 52. I'm forgetting that writer's name right now. Or even some of the more recent stuff, but I haven't read very much of that, so I don't know how much of it would really be adaptation worthy. How much of it's really good enough, the Jurgen stuff. But yeah, that's what I would want.
Cool. Komodo Dragon Boys, 279.
Hi.
Seen The Expanse? And sorry, go ahead. I'll ask the second.
I was just going to say, so folks have asked, and I saw a lot of Expanse stuff. I'm not going to have anything to say about any of that. My apologies. I guess people were trying to explain The Expanse to me. I've seen the pilot. I know what that show is. I keep meaning to get back to it. I just haven't. Years ago, I watched that, and I was going to go through it and try to do reviews of it while that show was still on. And because I think it's done. I don't know if it got canceled and with or without an actual final episode. Like I have no idea if it got an ending, but I think it was on for at least 4 years, because it started on Sci-Fi Channel and then it goes to Netflix or Amazon One, I forget. But anyway, yeah, it looked interesting. It was just really, really depressing and not the kind of science fiction I felt like watching right then.
The second part of his question is, would Eric return for a video?
No. That will never happen. That will
Ship has sailed.
That will almost certainly never happen. And I'm gonna keep, like, whenever folks ask me that, I'm gonna keep saying that. And like, if he ever wants to come back, that's totally cool. And I would love to have him, but I don't want to give anybody's hopes up. He doesn't want to be public anymore. And I don't want to be a jerk and be like, stop asking me that question. But the answer is not going to change. And maybe this is somebody who has not heard me talk about this before, but no, Eric's not coming back for any kind of video. He's not interested in doing public stuff anymore. He wants to be I don't know, he wants to be more private and work on his writing and not have a lot of I mean, I guess all the videos that we made together are going to stick around, so like people could go back and find things he said if they want to, but like he's just he wants to be kind of strategic, I guess, about his public image if he's serious about having a writing career, and that is a smart thing to do. I know other folks that have done the same thing, that used to be online, making their opinion known about everything under the sun, and it's smart not to do a lot of social media, just in general, when you're trying to build a persona doing anything creative in public. And I would probably. Honestly, I would probably be the same way if I had aspirations for getting into trying to get into comic writing or movie writing or anything like that, like I did when I was younger. This has turned into my thing, and I really like working for myself, and I have no regrets when it comes to that. I'll if I want to write another novel again, or if I want to try to make my own independent movies or whatever, I'll do that stuff on my own. I'm totally cool with that, and I don't need to. I don't know. I don't need to shut that stuff down. But you're taking a risk. You're taking your life in your hands to some degree when you're a public person at all, and you just talk about anything. You never know what's going to come back to haunt you. So I don't know. It's smart.
Yeah. Mutale, what will be the best DC movie of 2023?
what DC movies are we getting next year? Is Joker 2 coming out next year, or is that going to take another year? I don't remember, but I'm very curious to see what that looks like. My stock kind of, again, facetious answer is I don't know. They've not come out yet. Like I can't review it before they come out. So all I can tell you is whatever I might be anticipating most or expecting the most from based on their previous installments, if they're sequels. My expectations are not super high for either Shazam or Aquaman. Either of those have the potential to be fun and engaging. Shazam maybe more so than Aquaman, I guess. But beyond that, is there anything else coming out? I guess Flash, if that comes out.
Yeah, those would be the three. I guess I would be the most interested in Shazam. Aquaman looks weird. Why is he just wearing an all blue costume? We got the costume looked great. That was the one thing that everyone agreed on. Why is he just wearing blue?
It did look a little bit weird with Momoa's head, though. You wanted that body, put somebody else's head.
No head shaving here, Cap.
I think it's like if I have to make a prediction about this, the Flash will be the weakest of those three stories. I'll be shocked if that's not the case, just because everything about it sounds so gimmicky and contrived. And because I don't like that actor.
Yeah, and I've got an article pulled up about this, everything that's coming up, and apparently Blue Beetle is still slated for August 18th, 2023.
That'll get pushed back. Well, no, I say that finished wrapping. That will come out next year. We'll get 4 DC movies next year, unless they push the Flash back or they cancel it.
I hope I hope Flash tops New Mutants.
That would be amazing.
Keep pushing it back.
At this point, I think it would be wrong to expect that doesn't actually come out on time. At this point, it sounds like they've kind of made their peace with Ezra Miller, and they're trying to sweep a lot of that stuff under the rug now. Like their rhetoric at Warner seems to have kind of changed on that. I think we'll see that movie come out, and especially because they've clearly, DJ, already made way too much merchandise for that movie for it not to release. They've already had to put some of it out with like Batman '89 logos.
Well, it's like across the Spider-Verse. I've seen merch for that like all summer. Yeah, it's not coming out till next year.
Isn't that crazy?
It's so weird.
Yeah, there's a bunch of that out. Speaking of that,
we're pushing the movie, but we can't push the merch. That's all in the works.
I hope I like Spider-Man 2099's look in the movie more than I'm liking it with the action figures they're putting out.
Interesting.
Because I don't think they look very good.
Yeah, I had that with a lot of toys, though.
And
I said, like I was saying earlier. But that should be toyetic.
It should, and I've got a couple 29 toys, and they do look. It looks good in toy form. Like, how hard is it? But it doesn't look right. And didn't we get his look in that regular style at the end? Not just the silly '60s one, but like the actual costume.
Yeah, because it started with him, and then he runs into the '60s guy.
Yeah, but it isn't just Miguel O'Hara, right? Like it is that suit first, I think.
I think so, yeah. I think that's how the after credits thing starts.
Well, maybe it's just the toys then, because I'm like, well, it looked okay in that movie, I thought.
Yeah. Anyway, Josh Galisano, $5. What novelist would you like to see write Batman and Superman? I would have loved to have seen Stephen King write Batman and Bradbury write Superman.
Real quick, I'll show you this. Yeah, it's probably just looks weird with these molds, but like I don't like what that looks like.
Yeah, I don't like the Spider-Verse. They're very like stiff, just like kids' toys that just move like this.
Yeah, just the face doesn't look right.
Yeah. They did do a Marvel Legend line when that first Spider-Verse came out with all those characters, and they look really good.
Oh, cool. I'm sorry. Would you ask me that question one more time? I got distracted by looking up toys I don't like.
Sure thing. Josh Galisano, $5. What novelist would you like to see
Oh,
write
that's
Batman and Superman?
Josh, my apologies. I have not had time to do much reading lately. I'm very, very rusty when it comes to writers outside of comics and movies and stuff. Some people will be like, "Oh, Cap doesn't know anything about literature." I'm just rusty. Like, good ideas are not immediately flooding to my brain right now. Because, like, it'd probably have to be somebody, like, you know, it's writing right now, and I'm not up on my literature. I'm not reading anything current. So I'm trying to think of an interesting answer. And I don't have a great one right off. Besides people that have just worked in comics already.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I'm gonna think about that for a second. But that's a little bit of a stumper for me right now.
He did say in the chat, oh no, I meant from throughout history, so not current.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, Kevin J. Anderson is not like a brilliant. I mean, he's a good writer. He's not. He's kind of a commercial writer. Does a lot of Star Wars and Dune and that kind of thing. I adore his Last Days of Krypton, and I want to say he's actually done a book with Batman in it. I forget what, but if I don't know, if he could bring the same kind of energy to a Batman project, I don't know what exactly it would be that he did with Krypton. He'd definitely be at the top of my list. Peter David's kind of an obvious choice, and of course he's written a lot of comics, but hasn't done much with Batman, if anything. Has Peter David ever written anything with Batman in it? I'm not sure if he has. I mean, he's done more Marvel than anything. But yeah, I guess that's actually my first choice. Well, and then I would be. Well, this isn't actually a novelist. Never mind. I was gonna say I would be fascinated. Just, you know, my great loves. I'd be fascinated to see what Ben Edlund would do with Batman, because he wrote some Gotham, and it'd be cool to see him without a net all by himself write a Batman book.
Yeah. Jojo Ed, $5. The Expanse is the modern-day Battlestar Galactica that doesn't jump the shark. You should be warned season 1 is slow and rough around the edges.
Yeah, I've heard that. I didn't even think Battlestar jumped the shark. I was kind of okay with where that ended up going myself, but I've only watched through that show the one time, and I didn't adore that show or anything, but I was with it all the way through, I think. But maybe if I look at it again, I'll be like, what was I thinking? It was 10 years ago.
Oh, Matt Jazz fan again, $4.99.
Thanks.
DJ,
what's up?
DJ, it's funny you mentioned Diabolique earlier because today I bought it on Criterion Laserdisc. I still need to buy a Laserdisc player though. Well, that's really cool.
That's funny. You should come over to my place. I have a Laserdisc player, but no laser discs.
You guys are soulmates.
I've still never actually watched a Laserdisc. I'm very excited. I need to order one or two just to test my player out because I haven't got. I mean, I know it works because it was Adam's and he's used it, but I haven't gotten to play with it yet.
Yeah, it's very cool
storage right now.
I've seen a lot of those. Criterion goes all the way back to Laserdisc days, before DVD and before, obviously before they did Blu-ray and stuff. And there were some titles that they had the rights to back then they don't anymore. Some big ones like It's a Wonderful Life and King Kong, and some big ones like that. So don't think Warner will ever give the rights back to those, but it's cool to see those still out in the wild.
Yeah, the whole Criterion thing is really weird to me, and I'm not giving you crap or making fun of you at all with this, DJ, you or Connor, but like before Connor, I'd never heard of that. I had no idea what it was, and it was shocking to me to find out just how far back that goes. Where I'm like, How in my circles did I live that much life before I finally heard of that? I thought it was a brand new thing. Like, I had no idea. It's really weird. It's just this whole thing that escaped me.
Yeah, and I had only ever seen it in Barnes and Nobles because they have the big section devoted to it in all my Barnes and Noble, most of them except for one. But yeah, I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't on my radar either. But
For a while, I didn't even know it was a company. Like, I thought it was just a word people were using to describe, like, important or great films.
Yeah. Well, that's what they strive to do. That's like their log line, trying to preserve important, like, great films.
Yeah, I would hear Connor and a couple other people just throw that word around, and I'm like, how did this become, like, associated with good movies? Like, oh, it's a company. Okay.
You thought it's what the kids were saying these days?
Yeah, that's
Criterion is like
exactly what I
slang?
thought. It was like all the big film people were just like, this is a Criterion movie. You know, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's
It was over my head for a while.
It's definitely niche, but you find people. Like, I found a guy just completely by happenstance who I met at my son's birthday party because our kids go to the same school, and
Interesting.
he's been collecting it since college. He's got a nice collection, and we started talking about that for a bit. I think I'm going to meet up with him sometime this month and go to a store and shop with him.
That's cool. At the moment, I have one because you sent it to me.
I did. That's a great one.
I need to look at the special features and stuff on that. I still haven't done that. And we need to do a commentary on that for the 5 people that would watch it, or at least review that movie. That's Facing the Crowd, which we keep talking about. And nobody cares, but
We tried, man. We tried. They thwarted us at the last minute.
So much, dude. Oh, that's right. We were gonna do that, and then it got pulled off of Max. And I was like, well, people aren't gonna have access to this. It's not gonna make sense to stream it.
Yeah.
But there's nothing stopping us from doing a conversation video.
Yeah, sure. I like to get the word out about it.
Well, except for maybe Disney, because they apparently just don't like me and they turn my camera off. And I don't know why they would do that over that, but they might just be like, this is a thing he really wants to make. We're going to shut his camera off. Why don't you just find a way to shut down the stream? Why'd you shut my camera off, Disney? I don't understand.
Because that's much scarier. Like, if the stream just shut down, you wouldn't be that scared. But wait, they're in my house? They're shutting off my camera?
Mickey Mouse is watching you through your webcam. We're gonna futz with your aspect ratio and then slow down your video speed.
That'll really good.
We're gonna screw with your frame rate. We're gonna take frames out. You're still gonna be there. You're just gonna be unwatchable.
We attack him at his frames. That's just the gift that keeps on giving.
No, that's exactly right. It's like, wow, I'm gonna have to stop streaming and start just making regular videos again and upload. I'm gonna go back to formula. Back to formula.
All right, where the heck are we? Mutale.
I have no idea. We are past 2 hours. How many super chats are left at this point?
Speaking of, though, great segue, because he says thoughts on Maguire, Holland, Garfield, 90s Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, rumored on being in Across the Spider-Verse. Well, you, sir, have just put me in a terrible mood. That sounds... nah. I just want to see a good movie. I like the first one.
Yeah,
just do another good one.
Yeah, sorry. My immediate reaction to that is I don't want that movie to do what... I mean, we just had No Way Home, and that felt like Spider-Verse is popular as a concept, and we've got to do that in live action. And like, we already had the Spider-Verse thing. Why do we have to do that again in live action? I get to some degree the novel argument for it, of course, with bringing those actors back. I still say that could have been handled a lot better than it was ultimately. I also think it could have been a lot worse than it was. I'm middle of the road with that. But with Spider-Verse, if they have to come in and voice Spider-Mans, I want them to be new versions. I would not want it to be, we have to make those all canonical with this somehow, and the Spider-Verse we have these animated universes, but they're in the same, somehow, multiverse as the live-action thing, and I hope we're not doing all of that.
Yeah.
That would be irritating. And the other thing, and just convoluted and not necessary, is DJ says, just tell a story. and do a fun dimension hopping thing. I like interdimensional stuff when it's done well. I'm tired of it right now, but it's one of my favorite kinds of genre stories. It's just been overdone lately, and it's been too gimmicky overall. But also, I want to know if that ends up being true, DJ. If that was a decision that was made before or after that movie came out, because if they put that movie off to change things so they can add those characters, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's terrible. If that's why it got pushed, then yeah, that's not a reason to push it. Yeah. Don't shove in new characters after the film's done.
Please, for the love of God.
That's strange, but no, I don't need any of them in there. Just, I mean, the casting in the first one was so great. Everyone fit their roles perfectly. It'd be fun to see, the Josh Keaton from Spectacular Spider-Man voice a new character, but I don't need it.
Yeah, I was gonna say at the very least, like at best, that's gonna be stunt casting with new characters, and that's not what it'll be. If they brought all of those guys back, like it won't be that. So yeah. That's not cool.
You gotta have him scream Mary Jane if he comes back. To the ends of the earth!
No, if they do that Spider-Man, I want him to constantly flash back to things in that show.
Yeah.
Or where he can't be on screen for 30 seconds without a flashback.
That's his universe. His universe is just told in flashbacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Jar Jar Ed, $5. The Expanse is set in just the solar system, but the scope of the story feels as grand as Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica.
Yep, I've heard that as well. I will watch it at some point.
They're really trying to sell you on this, man.
Yeah. Everybody keeps trying to explain the show to me. I don't need you to pitch it. I'm going to watch it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. It took me this long to finally get to Better Call Saul.
He's chipping away at it. He's knocking one off.
But thanks for the super chat. I appreciate you, man.
Reba Cheap 775. Hi, Cap.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any chance at all that the Sarah Connor Chronicles could be an ending in some form? Could get an ending in some form? I just finished it for the first time, and that cliffhanger broke my heart.
Oh, it makes you want to cry. It's as bad or worse than the way 4400 ended. Short answer is no, that'll never happen. Not enough of us care. It's been too long. I don't even know if... Well, I was going to say I don't know if the rights are still in the same place. I guess that was all Fox, right? So... Right? No? Am I wrong? I don't remember. Who owns that show? I thought that was a Fox show. Anyway, I don't think that'll ever happen in any kind of form. The best you could ever possibly hope for is maybe another like comic sequel or something. And I would read that. I would hope that one or two of the writers from the show were able to come back to make it. But yeah, I don't expect that. No, it's a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy. Especially because that last Terminator movie was one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's just how I feel about it. I really, really hated it. And
that was a fun review to watch because you guys disagreed so much on that one.
Well, one of us was right. And I want that series to die or be Sarah Connor Chronicles. That's kind of where I'm at right now. It was so weird and bittersweet finally going through that show after I saw Dark Fate when I reviewed it with Austin, because this is like really good. And it was very watchable, and it was a lot of fun, and there's silly stuff in it, and there's goofy effects here and there, but it's much more the direction that the whole thing should have gone. Yeah, that cliffhanger is rough, because it was really imaginative, and it would have been a lot of fun to see what a season 3 for that would have been. It always sucks when a show ends like that, where they think they're getting more. DJ, how close are we, man?
We have 3 left.
Okay, sweet. That's manageable. Let's knock
home stretch. Austin Harn,
hi.
$4.99. Since Cap brought up collections, I'm curious. Do you, Cap and DJ, have particular grails that seem to elude you in any of your collections? That's a great question, and maybe a video. I would need to look.
Yeah, same here. I have to rack my brain a little bit.
I mean, I could easily just pull up my eBay watch list and be like all these things that I've had in there forever that I've never been able to get for a decent price.
Well, and DJ, you have like the one big collection that you're constantly building. I would have to look at multiple collections. The the big stuff that immediately comes to mind. Well, let me start with comics. Comic wise, if I was trying to do complete runs of things, there's stuff that's just not realistic. Like I have a not near complete but very strong first run of Amazing Spider-Man. There's obviously issues of that I'm never going to get my hands on. Particularly like good copies of, Amazing Fantasy 15 or Amazing Spider-Man #1. Like it's not going to happen. And even if I was a multi-millionaire, it would be difficult for me to spend the kind of money I would need to get my hands on some of those things. Like I don't know if it matters enough to me to buy that over some cool things that I could actually do more than just display somewhere. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There are Batman pop figures that are astronomically expensive.
It's true.
That I'll never buy because it would be really preposterous. Again, even if I was a very rich person, am I gonna drop $200 on Abin Sur
on a pop
not
figure?
Abin
Yeah.
Sur, what is it? Zur-En-Arrh Batman? Probably not, man. It's a little plastic thing that's a repaint of some other ones. Like I don't know if I have to have it that badly just for the sake of completion. So a lot of the things that I would call holy grails are not things that I have to have enough that I would want to spend that kind of money on, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure there are things. There's not something that I'm just like losing sleep over because I've been trying to get it. There's a lot of things that I want that are for whatever reason like exclusive. Only so many were made, and they're you can't get them for less than $100. There's a couple Disney treasures. I have most of them that I want, but there are a couple Disney treasure DVD collections, particularly the Donald Duck Volume 3 and Volume 4. Can't get them for under 300. They're around 300, 400. I'm not going to pay that much for them, but
sure.
I've got Volumes 1 and 2. I've got most of the other ones. I've got the complete Goofy. I've got all 4 volumes of Mickey, and I've got the Silly Symphonies one. So I'm pretty good. I didn't know Donald has so many cartoons. About as much as Mickey. There's 4 volumes of each. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever find those. I just have them in my watch. I have, eBay, you can set every time someone lists that thing, you get a notification about it. So that's kind of cool. So maybe one day someone will not know what they have or just need to sell it really quickly, and I'll get a good price on it. But there's a lot of stuff like that I'm not like constantly searching for, but when it pops up, I'll get it. The Man Who Fell to Earth is a Criterion that's out of print. That's also you can't get for under $150.
Yeah, and I'd like to have that at this point too. Now that I've reviewed it, a couple other things are coming to me all of a sudden, DJ. I'll mention this real quick. I have a very hefty Star Trek reference library. And I'll never own everything there is because I'll never know everything there is. It's preposterous how much Star Trek reference there is. It is one of my biggest collections. And I haven't done a video on it in a long, long, long time. The last time was probably a decade ago. And I should go back through that at some point. But it'll be a lot of, here's an interesting looking book. I've never read this, but I own it. There was I think 2 or 3, I think it's 2-volume update to the Star Trek Encyclopedia that finally came out physically 6 or 7 years ago. And it was a very low print run. They didn't make very many of them. It's these big, hefty hardcovers. And it's impossible to get now. I should have pre-ordered it, and I forgot about it. And by the time it came out, you couldn't get your hands on one. And when you see them, they're like $400 or $500. It's impossible to get, and that one drives me crazy because I love the old Akuta Star Trek Encyclopedia, and there was a paperback that came out, and then they did a hardcover and paperback update. I have that, and it's one of my favorite reference things. I I've spent a lot of time with that. I used it constantly back when I was doing Star Trek Club, and even before Memory Alpha was a thing, or before there was very much going on with that anyway. But yeah, maybe even before that was around. But anyway, so yeah, that's a big one. So another thing I was going to mention that I'm forgetting now. I had another kind of good one, but
yeah, maybe I can postpone while you think of it. But yeah, there is
sure.
There's a Willy Wonka Zavi exclusive that came out last year when the 4K released, and I really wish I had known about it back then because it is gorgeous and it has a slip cover, and you take the slip cover off and it's a slip case that looks like a chocolate bar, and then the movie slides out from the side. It looks amazing. Comes with so many posters and like a book and stuff.
That's ridiculous.
I can't get it, and I already have that beautiful Blu-ray one there. But I would love to upgrade to the 4K because that one actually has a different framing. It's not just quality. And it's like I can't get it. It's like $120 on eBay right now. I wish I would have known about it when it came out, but because it was only like $40. But I need to start keeping up with those exclusives when they come out because they're only like $40 and they immediately skyrocket. There's also a Criterion Designs book, like a hardcover book that has like all of the cover art because they get, all those are like custom cover arts by artists, and it's really, really cool. And it's been out of print for years, and I can't get it it's like $310 on eBay. I'm like,
wow.
It's a really, really beautiful book, but I'm not going to pay $300 for it.
Yeah, there gets to be a threshold money-wise where there's very few things that I'll spend that much on just by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like to get decent deals on things or get them right when they come out. I'll mention one more thing real quick because this is a whole other category. Collections, because again, I do this differently than you do. Collections I'd like to start that I haven't gotten around to because overall the things are kind of too pricey or it would be too much of a commitment. I'll say this real quick too, I've got collections that I've abandoned, that I've got a few things of that I quit on because I wanted to be more or less, or try to get more or less complete on, and I'm not totally complete on anything with the exception of Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, which I am almost 100% on, and there's only one thing that I haven't bought with that because it's kind of pointless, and I still might get at some point just for the sake of completion. But I've got all the figures for that game. There's a big Megazord that I have and I've painted. They later on put out the same thing but painted. It's the only thing I haven't bought because it's pointless. There's no reason to have that. I already have the Megazord. Oh, but there's a painted one now.
Yeah,
I don't need that. But anyway. One collection that I started at one point was I was going to do the same thing that I do with superhero movies and TV shows with video games, and that gets really expensive. Like, especially these days, there's a bunch of stuff that just commands $100, $200 prices that I'll never feel the need to pay for and buy, so I kind of abandoned that whole thing. And also in that same category, the only system that I would love to have a complete set of, at least cartridges, if not cartridges in box, is Sega Genesis. I would love to have the entire catalog of Sega Genesis. And at this point, it's kind of pointless to start that, because even that there's a lot of carts that are just too pricey. It's kind of pointless to do. So...
yeah, it's funny that you say that because I've actually started a new collection very recently, ever since my son's, he's 4 now. And
I didn't realize that.
I started, I told you about this a little bit, but I've started buying up as Marvel Legends, which I used to collect a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
When I was around 10 or 12, or maybe a little younger than that, I used to collect them. And I still have all of them, so he's been playing with those. And obviously that's way too broad of a category, and that would put us out of house and home, but I've at least, like, I'm trying to put together like a complete Spider-Man Marvel Legends collection. So I'm getting all of his villains and all of his different suits, and there's a lot of Spider-Man villains. He's got a huge rogues gallery.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And there's a couple, like Demogoblin, who was a Build-A-Figure, is very expensive, like $70, because you have to get all the different, you know what a Build-A-Figure is.
Yeah.
And there's just a few other ones that I still don't have. There's a Venom that I want, That's going for like $50. There's some custom, and then you get into customs, which I don't ever want to take the plunge into customs because there's like a spot. They haven't made a spot figure yet, but I have a spot in my watch list that's $80.
Wow.
That looks really good. It looks high quality. Somebody made a monster Ock. I don't know if you ever finished the Spider-Man game for the PS1 and N64, but the final villain is Carnage gets on Dr. Octopus and he becomes Monster Ock.
Oh, cool.
Of that game.
I didn't know that. Thanks for spoiling. No, I'm kidding.
That's my favorite Spider-Man game still. I love it to death. Someone made a flawless custom of Monster Rock, and it's like $400. I'm never going to buy it, obviously, but it looks so cool, and I was like, wow, that'd be really cool to have. But anyway, I've been buying a lot of. I just bought Hydro Man. I think he's on the way. I've got Sandman. I've got a pretty large, and it's probably stupid because he's not even that into it yet. He's only 4.
Yeah.
But hopefully he'll play with him a little when he's actually, my daughter plays with him more than he does right now. But anyway, that's what I've been doing lately.
That's cool. No, I forgot you told me about that. But I didn't know you were like collecting them.
I wasn't until I was.
Okay, we've got to wrap things up. What are we at? A couple of questions left, or?
Yeah, just a few left here. Jar Jar Ed, $10. The Expanse.
Stop explaining The Expanse to me. I'm gonna watch it. Okay.
The Expanse starts out as the stories of a detective, the crew of a mining ship, and the UN Under-Secretary Jen uncovering a conspiracy. The stories converge into an epic space opera rivaling Babylon 5. Are you being paid by The Expanse, Jar Jar Ed?
Yeah, I don't know. But what's weird is I'm being paid to be told to watch this show, and like I'm going to. I still need to finish Babylon 5. I've still got one more season left, and I keep forgetting to get back to that too. And I need to do that before HBO Max inevitably takes off everything I care about, because I don't trust they'll leave everything on. I thought about making this lead-in topic tonight. There was maybe we'll talk about this on Thursday or sometime next week. But DJ, there was an article. I don't have it up right now, but there was an article that came out a day or two ago, or maybe it was today. I'm not sure. That Austin sent me with some quotes from Zaslav about the direction for DC and some other things, and it sounds like they want to change the HBO Max streaming service to actually have the letters WB in it, which is correct. Like, I'm glad they're doing that if that's what happens, because that was really weird with HBO Max, where I'm like, why is Warner Brothers not in the title of the streaming service? It's really strange. So it sounds like that actually is probably going to happen. So that's good if it does. He also had an amusing quote where he said, he's saying that Gunn is closer to finishing his overall plan for their first phase or whatever, wherever they're going with the DC movies. And he said, our direction now will not have 4 Batmans. I thought that was funny.
Just taking pot shots.
Yeah. We're done with that nonsense. We're not going to have 4 Batmans. Which kind of just immediately says, okay, so we won't see Keaton again after Flash. That is not just a relic of another time. That will feel like it was made 20 years ago.
We have 2 more. Real quick, Robert Wilde just says, Cap, you're watching Better Call Saul again, with a bunch of exclamation points. He's very happy about that.
Thanks, man. I'm excited.
Maybe he'll talk about it with you.
Oh, yeah, I could talk to Robert about that. See if I can get him to rewatch it. Maybe he's seen it enough. He knows it well enough to just jump on and talk about it. But
maybe so. And then the last one I have is from Jar Jar Ed, and this, or no, sorry, excuse me, John Ty, and this is
those are different people.
This is
Jar Jar John Ty.
John Ty.
Misa Jar Jar Ty.
This. Oh, we have got to wrap this up. This is, and he asked this before we started.
Misa called Jar Jar Ty.
Yeah, this is actually put in before we started rambling about our collections, so I don't think this is a personal attack, but he says...
That's okay, I'll take those, it's fine.
He said, where is the line between collecting things versus hoarding things?
Oh, a classic question, yeah. We did a whole GNN on that at one point.
We did a whole one of these shows on that at one point.
Did we really?
That was
Let's do it again right now.
That was the opening question. I don't know. I would love to steer you back to it, but I have no idea what number it was.
I wonder if it was in the title or not.
Who knows?
DJ, just real brief, we'll do kind of clipped responses to that. But where do you think the line is, generally speaking?
It depends. I mean, I think it absolutely depends on from person. It's different from person to person, because a lot of people, for the definition of hoarding, is like a typical old person keeping things, like he has like 5 sinks in his backyard, like things that he is never going to need, that are just he has because he's keeping things and that's just what he does.
It's a compulsion where you can't throw stuff away.
Yeah, there are things that I'm never gonna need. There are things that you're never gonna need. There's definitely things on both of our shelves that probably will never get watched, as much as we want to and like want to watch everything.
There's a bunch of crap here I don't want to watch.
That's true.
Can I just say that? My collection is different from yours. This is completion. You cherry pick and buy stuff you want to own. I don't do that. It's everything.
That is true. So see, and that is where I could see it tipping into hoarding for some people, where it's like, why do you have to have this if you never intend to watch it?
Okay, but is a library hoarding?
No, and that's a lot of the reason I buy things these days. If it's not something that I'm going to watch, it's something I want to be in the house that my kids might check out someday. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I want to have all this stuff on hand. The practicality for me with the superhero collection is now I feel like I'm being defensive or something. It's on hand for when it comes up. At some point, it will. You know what I mean? Because of what I do. I don't think I would be building this collection if I didn't do this job.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a direct correlation with what I do. But I do buy Batman pop figures that I think look stupid. So yeah, I could see somebody sort of making the argument for hoarding. But for me, the big difference is you're not spending money you don't have at the expense of, eating and feeding and clothing your children and whatever it is, like important life stuff. It's well organized and you're not tripping all over it.
Mm-hmm. That's something that makes it a collection. Yeah.
It has a place, yeah. At the point where you don't have any room to move around, it starts to look more like hoarding. The lines start blurring. Even if you buy with any kind of purpose, space is an issue.
Which is maybe kind of unfair, because by definition, someone who can afford to have a bigger house can collect more before it becomes hoarding. Than
no, and then I sound a little snobby even saying it like that. Some people, in order to not look like they're hoarding, or it's not even about what people think of them, but just I don't want to live in a mess. Will store a lot of things that they're collecting that aren't displayed and they're not going to look at, and I have a hard time with that. Where it's
that's real tough for me. Yeah.
What is the point of even having it?
If it's just in a garage in a box, yeah. Like what's
or in a storage unit. There's people that have collections that are an hour away from where they live, just so that it's not in their way. And I'm like, I don't understand that. But then I would rather do that than it being in my way when it's something that I'm like, but I want to have this. Like, eventually I'm hoping to be but you know what I mean? Like, there's different people have different situations, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, hoarding, like, that's why I collect things that have a purpose. Like, it's really hard for me to collect, like, statues or something, because it's just, like, I love looking at my collection, but it also does something. Like, I collect books, I collect movies, because they're all you could also watch them or read them.
Sure.
Me personally, obviously, not everyone has this, but it's something that's just made to be collected is something that's hard for me to start a collection of. Oh, I know you don't have that, obviously.
That's completely understandable, yeah. But I understand that, and I'm sympathetic towards it. A lot of it is aesthetic and just personal preference. I can't live in a place with bare walls. Like, I like having stuff up. I wouldn't have as many statues and things if I didn't have the space for it in the bunker. A lot of that I quit buying at one point because I had amassed enough that I couldn't display it anymore without it getting ridiculous. And I've stopped with statues because so far, eventually maybe I'll put up another glass case if I can find a good space in the wall for it. But like, I'm already kind of to capacity with that, and they look cool, and I'm happy with them, and I don't need a bunch more statues.
Yeah, and I need to do something. I need to start getting something because my office, besides this wall, is just very plain. Like the rest of my office is just, I don't like a room. I haven't really put any effort into that because we've been putting so much effort into getting these shelves built and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'll eventually start getting some stuff like that I'm looking at to make this look feel a little bit more like an office. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Are you
I
thinking
guess
like framed posters or
I don't know.
pictures
I have
or
no idea. I've never
art
had
or
a home office, and it's something I've got to start like doing research and
go
seeing
to
what I want to do.
go to cons or something and look for original art. That's become one of my favorite things to decorate with is when you can find really good deals on one of a kind stuff on canvas. It's so cool to be the only person that owns the thing you have that you put it. Like I
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah, I need to wait until I get a more permanent desk. Once that'll be the first thing I get in here. This is just the foldable the table that I was using at the last house that I just
Oh
don't have to
sure.
take down anymore. I can just leave it. But it's just a tiny table. I'd like to get a real desk in here. But I guess what we're saying is the only thing that makes a difference between collecting and hoarding is if it has a theme.
And
If
if
it
you're not
has a
tripping
set
over it.
theme, yeah. If it's hoarding, you're just keeping everything because you don't know what you're going to need. I guess that's all we came up with. That's where we're at. It's a very fine line, and it's going to differ no matter who you are from person
It's
to
the
person.
most profound thing we've ever repeated ourselves with. Because I'm sure we've said all of this before. Okay, what do we have?
That's it.
Maybe one more? Or are we
That's
done?
all.
Oh my goodness, we
Oh,
we
excuse me.
actually
Jar Jar
finished.
Ed. Jar Jar Ed put one in while we were talking.
Oh,
Jar Jar Ed. Robert Wild insists I remind you of Pirates 2. Okay, so you don't like him reminding you about the Expanse, so he's going back to Pirates 2.
well, I just feel bad that he's wasting his money to explain that show to me. Like I'm gonna watch it. Um, yeah, thanks for reminding me about Pirates 2. It is on my massive list of things to do with Austin. We will get back to it eventually. I was kind of hoping we would do it by now, but time has gotten away from us. We've had too many weekends where we weren't able to do the Patreon poll. Although it'll be pointless to put Pirates 2 on a poll, because when we do, that's what'll win, like no matter what else is on that poll. Because that first movie we had so much fun with, and
Yeah.
I think people really enjoyed that, so we're excited to do more of it. I'll probably rewatch that first movie again before we do two, because I don't know it super well, and now it's been a couple months.
2 is kind of one is like is like an ending, and then 2 kind of picks up. So you could probably be fine just watching 2 again. It kind of goes in a different direction, but 2 is my favorite of the series.
Is it really?
hmm
I didn't know that.
I say that. I mean, I always say that, but I haven't watched it in years. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I
And I
like
mean,
it
I've
quite a
seen it.
bit.
It's just been forever. Like I've
Mhm.
seen, that trilogy, and then I didn't bother with 4 or 5.
Yeah. Oh, don't. 4 is not worth watching except for like a scene and a half, and then 5 is just abysmal.
Well, we tend to be completionists with commentaries, so probably at some point. Although we haven't finished the Terminators, and I may revolt on Dark Fate. There may never be a commentary for that, even if we do Genesis and Terminator Salvation before it. Like, I don't wanna. I don't wanna have to sit through that again. If I have to sit through it again, do I have to talk about it? Like, is there any inevitability where people would actually allow me to show up for a commentary I didn't speak through? Because I don't want to talk about that movie. I don't want to have to sit through it.
Just take the cardboard cutout route, like I'm gonna do with Love and Thunder.
Yeah. No, what are you talking about? We're gonna watch that this weekend.
Oh no!
We're gonna pre-record it.
I will kick you out of my house, sir.
Well, folks, thanks so very much for being here. This was a really long one. I honestly didn't even know how many folks were going to show up tonight and how much of a show we were going to have because we didn't have a lead-in topic. But you guys are wonderful, and thanks so much for the support. Thanks for the variety of questions. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for reminding me 15 times to finally watch The Expanse, which I will try to do after Better Call Saul. I had honestly planned on doing that a few months ago, and then I forgot all about it again, and I ended up watching something else I needed to review. But yeah, I'll do it, and then watch there's only 20 people that actually want me to do that, and they're just very loud because they like that show. But yeah, I'll get to it anyway. Thanks again for being here, and I'll be back tomorrow night with Patriot games. Like I said, I think that's what we have to review tomorrow, Austin and I. And DJ and I will be doing random things all weekend. So thanks a lot for being here. And I was Captain Logan. This was DJ Martinez.
Bye, everybody.
We love you guys. Thanks for being here. See you later. I have to get my music set up. Okay, I'm good now. Bye, everybody.